Alright, time of goods. Are we live? I think we are. Hello all and welcome back to the Women's Football Chat Live. Champions League Matchday 3 continues as we have the early kickoff here between Bayern Munich and Arsenal. Two sides who are in pot 1 for this competition but have already this season dropped 3 points when they face other pot 1 opposition. Both in Matchday 1 as Bayern were on the receiving end of a heavy defeat to Barcelona and Arsenal were done by OL Lyonnais. So both sides with ground to make up. That makes this game feel incredibly important for both teams. Both sides, though, back in winning action in match day 2, Harry, but tonight still really important for both these sides.
Yeah, absolutely crucial. We said that the difference between making the top 4 and not will be those results against the other pot 1 side. So the fact that both of these two teams won't play anymore after this is their kind of opportunity to try and give themselves any chance of getting into that top 4 and automatically making the quarterfinals. So a big game for both sides. I think that it's been a really good campaign for Bayern Munich. Yes, they were absolutely smashed by Barcelona, but bar that, they're unbeaten domestically, and it's overall been a very, very good start despite having so many injuries and a very depleted squad. For Arsenal, we know it's been a bit hit and miss, but when they've been on it, they've looked good, and if they can bring another really strong performance into this game, then Bayern Munich are going to find it very hard to keep the reigning European champions quiet. So, yeah, it's going to be an absolute classic, on the European stage. Two massive sides, two sides full of quality going head-to-head. It's bound to be a good game. I'm expecting goals. I'm expecting to see some brilliant pieces of play. And if both sides really bring their A game, then I think we could be on the money tonight for a Champions League classic, as we would have it.
Yeah, do you think form matters too much, especially domestic form? Do you think matters too much coming into this game? Because Bayern have won all of their last 7 games, I believe, or 6 games, I believe. And, Arsenal have dropped points in 5 of their last 8. How does that form on the domestic stage and, of course, in Europe as well? How does that impact the two sides coming into this game?
Yeah, I think it does. It does make a difference because of the quick turnaround, and it really depends how sides can deal with it. I think selection is also a massive part of it in terms of how your form transpires. If you rotate and it goes weak and it's different players, then suddenly it's a bit different because you've gone from an informed starting 11 to a starting 11 that haven't really played with each other. So I think the selection can dictate that form slightly, but overall, it's one of those where because of the quick turnaround, if you do lose or if you do drop points on a Saturday or a Sunday, to then be ready for that not to impact you on a Tuesday or a Wednesday is very unlikely. So I think that if you are, like when Bayern Munich got smashed by Barcelona, and that can't, I mean, luckily for them, it hasn't really hurt them too much, but it's one of those where you've got to, the elite teams are the best at it in terms of shifting that mentality. They can easily forget about a game and move on very quickly from it. But it can be difficult, and I think that both sides will want to win today to keep something going. Arsenal are starting to put a bit of an unbeaten run together. They just want to start getting points on the board. And, I mean, it's a very difficult run to play. Bayern Munich straight after playing Chelsea is a very hard couple of days to balance, but if they get it right tonight, and they could have come away from both games, without losing any of them and be in a very good position in both competitions.
Absolutely, and that difficult run sort of continues. North London derby on Sunday, Real Madrid next week. So difficult patch of fixtures for Arsenal. And let's take a look then at the lineups for this evening's game as we are at the Allianz Arena in Germany. We'll, of course, start with the Bayern side. It's a 4-2-3-1 for Bayern this evening. In goal, Gross, Gwyn, Viggersdottir, Balesaga and Kep make up the back four. Tanakawa and Stanway in the pivot. The three in front of her of Dulman, Damjanovic and Clara Buell. And leading the line, the only change for Bayern in this game from the side who beat Union at the weekend is Leah Schuler. Schuler coming in for this big occasion. Other than that, unchanged. Do you think that makes sense? Dropping Pernilla Harder out of the side, bringing in Leah Schuler. Do you think that's the right change for Bayern?
I think so. It's a very difficult decision when you've got two world-class forwards, really. But in this game, I think that Schuler going to try and play on the shoulder, get in behind that Arsenal back four and try and use the space that Arsenal, hopefully for Bayern, are going to leave behind them. But yeah, it's mostly unchanged as we expected. It is a very good Bayern side, but a very depleted side. I think that it's interesting to see Magdalena Eriksson benched back-to-back. She was benched against Union, thought she'd play this game but benched again tonight. Vanessa Gilles finally returns to the matchday squad, having not featured since September. They've still got Zadrazil out in the pivot, Ozzy Erberdorf out as well. Caruso makes the bench as well. That's a big one returning. She got, I think, about 15 minutes at the weekend against Union, so again back on the bench today. So that's good to see for Bayern Munich, but they're still missing some really key players, especially in that defensive area. So it will be interesting to see how that back four's still very good, but of course there are better options returning, still out injured and only just returning from injury. So it will be interesting to see how they fare up against what is a very dangerous Arsenal front line.
Yeah, absolutely. I have to say I'm a little surprised by the decision to bring Lea Schuler into the side. I think Pernille Harder has such a good record against Arsenal. I know it was Eidevall's Arsenal last season, but in that game she scored a hat-trick as Bayern scored 5 against Arsenal. Yeah. So, yeah, I also think when you look at how Chelsea had opportunities, the second minute of the game when Macaro drops in a little bit, having that sort of false 9, we've seen Arsenal struggle to deal with that. So I think Pernille Harder could have been the better option there. But I do think off the bench, she can still have a huge impact. And, of course, Lea Schuler, I'd be foolish to doubt her quality, one of the top strikers in the world. So very strong at Bayern Munich side. Let's take a look at Arsenal then, who once again opt for the 4-4-2, and it looks like the same shape they've used, or the same team they've used in the last few weeks. In goal, it is Daphne van Domselaar, a back four of Fox. Ruben Moy keeps her place with Katie Reid, now out with an ACL injury, alongside Catley and McCabe. In the 4, it's Mead, Pullover, Caldente and Ford, and a front line of Russo and Blackstenius. Interesting side then for Arsenal. Still no Kim Little, obviously picked up an injury before that Chelsea game. Wasn't involved in the game on Saturday. Not involved again this evening. We saw that midfield got overrun quite easily by Chelsea. A lot of the times the press didn't work for Arsenal. Are you surprised to see them go for the same thing? Is it lack of options, lack of experimentation? What do you attribute the lack of changes to?
Again, I think experimentation's what comes down to it slightly. I also think it's a lack of trust from Rene Slagers to pick the exact same 11 to go from a Saturday and a Wednesday is a really interesting decision. It's a bold decision as manager, and of course that's absolutely fine. But I think if they'd played someone weaker at the weekend and smashed them 5-6-0, then fair enough, stick with the same 11 to play this game and keep that form, keep that momentum going with the same 11. But you've just drawn 1-1 in a very competitive and very difficult game against Chelsea, to then go and name the same 11 players to try and do it all over again against a side of Bayern Munich's quality really surprises me again. And I think it comes down to not trusting the other players to do the job. Why isn't Olivia Smith starting this game? Cooney Cross is also on the bench. Even someone like a Kelly, even Marnham. There's so many options Arsenal could have used to freshen the pack a bit and keep that kind of freshness and that morale high, because it's not like they did win at the weekend. They drew in a very difficult match, and I'm sure that will still be a bit frustrating and for the players. But yeah, I think to name the same 11 to play 2 very, very difficult games back to back is an interesting decision. If it pays off for Slagers, then fair enough. But as you say, with the fixture list they've got stacking up, to opt for the same 11 to play back-to-back 90 minutes is, for me, a very risky decision. When they've already got loads of injuries, the last thing you want to do is be risking injuries to more players.
Yeah, I think I don't agree with the lineup decisions. What I will say is I think if Slagers views this 11 as her strongest lineup, as you would assume she does, based on the fact they all played in the Chelsea game, it makes sense that they're going to play Bayern, and then you'd expect some rotation on Sunday too. So to that extent, I understand then what she's looking for, but I don't think the selection is right. I think when you look at how Olivia Smith impacted the game when she came off the bench on Saturday, Arsenal didn't create anything in the first half. Smith comes on the second half, that's when they start creating opportunities. I mean, people talk about their refereeing decisions, but until that Blackstenius disallowed goal, which was from a corner, they didn't create anything. Smith came on towards the end of the game and they created a lot more opportunities. So I think it's a bit of a shame that we haven't seen changes from Arsenal. I think Slagers could have been more experimentative with what they're doing with this lineup. So I'm a little bit disappointed by that. Let's go to the live chat then. HB, welcome to the stream, saying not happy with the lineup again. Rene, I'm really trying to back you here. So already hearing from Arsenal fans, they're not happy with the team. Mia, welcome as well, asking how to watch the game. As always, the game is available on Disney+. I don't believe there are any other official broadcasters this year for the Women's Champions League. So Disney+ is the way to go. And if you can't watch it on Disney+, feel free to join us for the game here. Adj says, come on you Gunners. Same for ASAT, supporting Arsenal tonight. Great, say the Arsenal fans in the live chat. Get involved in the live chat throughout this evening's game. We'll be talking about the match throughout the game. And we'll get into predictions in just a moment, so feel free to start getting those live predictions, those scoreline predictions in the live chat. But I think it's going to be an interesting game, Harry. How do Arsenal learn from what happened last year, where Bayern outplayed them in that game? How do they learn from that and bring any learnings into this game?
I think it's a difficult one. Obviously, as you say, it's a very different Arsenal side, and even Bayern Munich were very different as well under a different manager also. So two different teams, but for Arsenal, it's just about getting the basics right and stopping the threat. It was too easy for Bayern Munich last year. As you say, Pernilla Harder had all the time in the world in that penalty area, and Bayern Munich were able to pick her out every single time. Someone has got to save Lea Schuler tonight. If Lea Schuler gets the opportunity to get in behind on her own, and she's one-on-one with Van Domselaar, I would back Lea Schuler, as the world-class striker she is, to put that ball in the back of the net. So for Arsenal tonight, they've got to stop Bayern Munich creating very good opportunities, and that, I think, the main one comes from Clara Buell. And I think a lot of people highlighted it pre-game. It's going to be an absolutely fascinating battle to watch this evening. Is Clara Buell up against Emily Fox? Because I think Clara Buell is Bayern's most dangerous player, and it's going to be where that creative spark and that danger and that threat comes for the home side. But equally, I think Emily Fox is one of the best players on the pitch. She's probably the best defender on the pitch at the very least. So it's going to be a very interesting battle. And if Buell can get the better of Fox, if she can get Fox backtracking and kind of pin her backwards, then it's going to bring Bayern a lot of joy. But if Fox can stop Buell from getting up the pitch and do what Emily Fox does so well, those recovery runs, turning the ball over, not allowing Buell to get past, then Bayern Munich will find it very difficult to create options tonight. I think that it'll be interesting to see how both sides build up, because I think that, again, we've always said this about Arsenal. I don't think the Arsenal pivot is ideal. I don't think it's perfect. And same for Bayern Munich tonight with the lack of options. Tanakawa is playing very, very deep. And while she's a very creative player, it's a very, very different role to be in that pivot with Stanway, who obviously we know how good Georgia Stanway is. So it'll be interesting to see how both sides are going to build up and going to get the ball forwards. But I think that it's going to be a test of both pivots tonight, because, as you say, I thought Arsenal did struggle against Chelsea's midfield on Saturday. We know it's not an ideal midfield either for Bayern Munich, so it's a real test of two quite unorthodox midfields, I suppose is the word, but especially for Bayern Munich. Yeah. But I think that, it'll be interesting to see how they go. But I think Stanway's been pivotal in that battle. We've seen how good she's been this season for Bayern Munich since she returned from injury, and how good she has been in some of the Champions League games. If Stanway can get on the ball and dictate the tempo in that midfield, then once again I can see that Arsenal pivot being overran tonight.
Yeah, I think this could become a very direct game that sort of just bypasses the midfield. Yeah. I think they'll look to... I think both sides have got wingers who are very capable of taking players on down the line. I think both sides have gone for forwards this evening who want to get the ball in behind and want to run at players. So I think this could just become a very end-to-end game of football. And we know Slegers doesn't love that. Slegers loves to have control in games. So I think she's got to allow a little bit of control to go in order for Arsenal to have the best chance to win. So I think going direct up against that Bayern backline, they've got the beating of them in terms of pace. Yeah. You know, Black Stenius is a fairly fast player in behind. I think they've got to use that tonight, because she will have the pace advantage over Balenciaga. They can get her into that right channel like they did against Leicester. I think that will be where they can hurt Bayern Munich this evening. Let's get into predictions then. If you're watching along, there's already loads of predictions in the live chat. Keep them coming in as we're going through our predictions, and we'll start here in the studio. And of course, we'll start with yourself, Harry. Bayern versus Arsenal. What is your prediction?
I think it's going to be a very tight game. I'm going to say a draw. I can't split these two sides. As you say, I think it could be pretty end-to-end and a very close match that is going to come down to which side can take their chances. But I think that it could be a bit wasteful from both sides in front of goal. Ultimately, I will say a 1-1 draw. I think it will be the hosts that open the scoring pretty early doors, and I think it will just be a simple long ball over the top into Lea Schuler, who slots it past Van Domselaar. So I'll say Bayern Munich to take the lead, but Arsenal to peg them back in the second half. Olivia Smith off the bench to make the difference. The game's going to finish 1-1, and that's going to be our shout to Slegers to say, get me on that pitch and let me do what I do best.
Yeah, I'm quite torn going into this game for a prediction, but I think Arsenal might pull it together. I think they might get it together this evening. I can really see this game going either way, but I will back Arsenal. I'm going to say Bayern 1, Arsenal 2. I think it'll be a very tight game of football. I will say a Clara Buell goal, because I think while Bayern weren't brilliant against Juventus, I thought Clara Buell was a very bright spark. And then similar to you, I think Arsenal will come from behind. I think they'll do well. I think it will be a Black Stenius goal. in behind, and then I think it will be a penalty for Caldente. A little bit of fortune making up for the Arsenal fans being robbed on Saturday. So, yeah, a few predictions in the live chat. HB going for a 2-2 draw. I could definitely see that happening. Ryzen going 4-2 Bayern. What a game of football that would be. I could see that kind of game tonight. I think both these sides have been fairly open defensively, and while Arsenal, I don't think, are great creating chances, neither are Bayern, to be fair. I think both sides could just become quite transitional. This could become quite a direct game. We'll see how it goes from there. A few other predictions. 3-2 Non-Pilo says 3-2 Bayern. Going 2-1 Arsenal as well. So, yeah, I think this is going to be a really interesting game of football.
Yeah, it's the kind of game that could really be decided by individuals. I've mentioned Clara Buell, but if someone like a Caldente gets on the ball and they've got the ability to win their side this football match, and all it takes is a wonder strike from Caldente or Russo or Buell or someone like that to find the breakthrough, to break the deadlock and to win their side this football match. So yeah, it's the kind of match that if it is end to end, it is close. It's going to come down to fine margins, and it could come down to a bit of special, bit of magic from someone, some of the world class players that are on the pitch.
Yeah, absolutely. Amasek Mera asking, is Kim Little still injured? Yes, not involved in the matchday squad, so we assume still injured. I imagine, I don't know what the injury was, but wasn't involved for Chelsea. And we are underway here in this game. Bayern get us started at the Allianz Arena. It's Bayern Munich taking on Arsenal in matchday 3 of the Women's Champions League. And it's Bayern who start knocking the ball around. Bolisaga into Ket, now passing side to Tanikawa, back down the line to Ket. And Bayern will look to build up the left-hand side. One back well in there by Beth Mead. Now Caldente under pressure immediately. And she's given away possession. And it's deemed a foul. And I think there was a bit of a push there from Tanikawa. But that does feel a little soft.
Yeah, again, we know how difficult it can be for that Arsenal pivot in there. We know that they have struggled to resist that press sometimes. But very aggressive from Bayern Munich early doors. There were 2 or 3 players there surrounding Caldente immediately, setting the tempo and the expectation for the 90 minutes.
I mean, if they can counter-press that aggressively, they will generate high turnovers quite consistently. We've seen Arsenal really struggle to play out in recent weeks. So that's got to be what Bayern look to do. But I think equally, I think you could attribute the same analysis the other way. If Arsenal can press Bayern effectively, they weren't great playing out from the back in the Juve game. So I think this will be a really interesting contest for those reasons. Arsenal now putting pressure on Bayern, but it's Bayern trying to drive up the pitch. Balesaga back now to Gross, who's under a bit of pressure here and goes long with it. Flick on nicely from Linda Dorman, receives it back from Lea Schuler. Now options out to the right-hand side. Got to be a better pass, though, from Dorman in that area. And Caitlin Ford does well to ride the challenge and knocks it back to Emily Fox. Back again to Ruben Moy. And now Van Domselaar. For Ruben Moy, I think at the start of the season with Leah Williamson out would have been the player you expect to step up for Arsenal. Obviously, Katie Reid was that individual. Reid now out. How big an opportunity is this for Ruben Moy to get some consistent minutes?
Yeah, it's massive for her. I think, as you say, she'd have probably been disappointed to be jumped by Katie Reid in the pecking order. But with Reid out, it's an opportunity for Ruben Moy to impress. I think that we know how good she was a couple of years ago when she was playing very consistently for Arsenal, but kind of got jumped under Slagers, has been jumped by Catley, now jumped by Reid, but with injuries, it's a massive opportunity for Ruben Moy to come in and impress. And if she plays well, then Slagers won't have a choice but to start her, even when the other players return from injury.
Yeah, and I mean, she's already seemed to have usurped Leah Cadena. We saw Cadena come in for the Leicester game, I believe, but we haven't seen her much this season. It seems Ruben Moy is that preferred 4th choice option, and she'll be hoping she can ascend that pecking order. Here is Alessia Russo now driving the ball forwards for Arsenal. Nice move out to the left-hand side, and she shifts it into Caitlin Ford. Ford now looking to create a chance, lays it into the box. Black Tennis unable to win the aerial battle as Balesaga heads it away. Out now for an Arsenal throw.
Box defending for Bayern Munich will be absolutely key tonight. It was their biggest problem is against Barcelona. They just failed to clear their lines, and the marking and organisation was all over the shop. Tonight they've got to get it right. Cannot allow players like Russo, players like Blacksenius to have time and space to use in the area.
Yeah, Fox throws it into the area. Blacksenius, nice hold up. Back to Emily Fox. And can't quite shift that ball out of her feet. Throws it back in. That's a little bit messy, and then cleared forwards by Clara Buell. Flick on well from Schuler, and now Damjanovic breaking down the left-hand side for Bayern Munich. Options to her right if she can pick someone out. Still driving it forwards. Damjanovic will be forced backwards now. And that's a poor pass back to Buell, and that's out for an Arsenal throw. Riley, welcome to the stream. Says, welcome back, Harry. Hope you're doing well.
I am, thank you very much. Yeah, good to be back. I'm glad I returned for some very big games. Sounds like I missed some good clashes though last night. Big for Vålerenga to get a win on the board. And Leon seemed to, again, they're enjoying life. Again, 3 wins from 3 for them last night. So a good start for them. And that's why we said tonight, this game for both these teams is crucial, that they get 3 points on the board and can keep pace with the top sides at the table.
Rousseau. Now Palova. Out to the left-hand side. Delivery now into the area from McCabe. Headed away. Fox touch it down to Mead and get a shot away. Saved well by Gross. Fox heads it over. And that's in for Arsenal. Great reaction there from Emily Fox. And Arsenal leads in this game. It's Bayern 0. Arsenal 1. And this is a much more positive counter-attack for Arsenal. McCabe with the ball into the area. Bayern again failed to deal with the ball into the box. Mead's effort wasn't great, but Gras spilt it. And Fox the quickest to react. And Bayern left looking around at each other, a little bit confused as to how they've conceded there. But again, it's really poor in their own penalty area. Balenciaga heads it away. No one really reacts to that. And Gras parries it straight to Fox, who heads it over her.
Yes, exactly what I was speaking about. Beth Mead there was all alone on the right-hand side of the penalty area, gets a shot away, and Gras, for me, has got to do better with that one. Parries it directly into the floor, and it bounces up perfectly for Emily Fox, who has done well there, to be fair, to kind of loop the header back over Gras, who can't react in time, but got to do better there. The Bayern Munich goalkeeper just parries it straight down into the ground, and a pretty poor piece of defending from the host, but Arsenal take full advantage. Good from Beth Mead. Thought she did well. Took the touch and just got the shot away. Didn't dilly-dally with it. Didn't rush it either. Got it on target and, forced the save, which led to the goal.
Buell. Balenciaga. Pass back now into Viggersdottir. Now Gwyn.
And again, another slow start for Bayern Munich. It's just not been at the races. Allowed Arsenal to come onto them. It's caught them out. I thought that although they scored, inside 10 minutes against Juventus, they were still a little bit sluggish in that one. And in the other, Champions League match, they were smashed by Barcelona. So it's not been convincing in Europe so far for Munich. And I think that, long way to go here, but they'll be hoping they can get into their rhythm. They can, hopefully respond pretty quickly.
That's the left-hand side, and Cat can't quite keep that in. So will be a throw-in on this near side for Arsenal. But as you say, Bayern starting slow again. Here is Fox with the throw-in. Rousseau. Nice turn out, one back by Dorman. Now Buell. Damjanovic back to Ket. Balenciaga. Now Viggersdottir. Dorman. Viggersdottir. Across to Balenciaga. Stanway now dropping into the middle of that back three. It's interesting, given how little options they've got in midfield, that they're dropping one of their midfielders into the back three, and it's not really working at the moment. Nothing's really working for Bayern Munich.
Yeah, once again there, as you say, with Stanway drops in, and you get that back three. Tanaka was just sat in front of it and obviously being marked because she's the only midfielder in there, and the fullbacks have bombed on, and it just means that the back three got no one to play it to apart from each other. Which then means Arsenal press onto them, and suddenly they're losing the ball.
Yeah, it's a little bit strange at the moment. Bayern playing out from the back now again. Gras. Viggersdottir back to Gras. Can go out to the right-hand side, but it's Mariona Caldente who picks up the pass. Now Palova. Great shift inside. Looks across to Rousseau. Now Fox. Plays it forwards towards Palova. That's a good tackle, though, from Georgia Stanway. And Bayern had the ball again. Ket. Now Clara Buell. Nice shift inside, but it's over here. And it's one high at the pitch here by Arsenal. Palova Now to Russo on the edge. Could strike it from this sort of range. Opens up the body for a shot, but that's blocked. And now Duhlmann into Lea Schuler. Now back now to Gwyn. Stanway. Damjanovic. I feel the other problem for Bayern is that all of their attackers, bar Clara Buell, are just so inconsistent. Like, I think Linda Duhlmann, it can be a brilliant player on a day, but there are so many days where she just goes missing.
Yeah.
And that is a problem for me. I think the same probably for Damjanovic. I think the same, to be fair, for Lea Schuler. There's some big matches where she just seems to go missing. And Clara Buell's the only attacker they've got who shows up every game.
I think the other problem Schuler's going to have tonight is that if Bayern Munich are going to get bogged down and get as deep as they have been so far, the only option for her to get involved is going to drop in and hold it up, which isn't, the kind of striker that she is. That's the Pernille Harder role.
Well, exactly, and this just makes it even more bizarre that she's not preferred for a game like this evening. Ball goes on, Damjanovic with the flick on, or even if they use her in the Damjanovic role, because I think you can. I still think Harder and Schuler can be complementary. With Moy stepping out of defence well, and Bayern press aggressively, and that's out for an Arsenal throw. Cat Hatters, welcome to the stream. Very happy to see Emily Fox scoring.
I say when we were discussing the Fox-Buell battle in the build-up, I didn't think that it would be Fox the one going forwards and attacking and Buell the one.
How well can Buell defend Emily Fox? That will be the battle this evening.
But again, it's the same run that Fox makes every game that led to that to the goal. She bursts into that space, or on that underlapping run and pops up in the penalty area, and it put her in the perfect spot to follow in on the rebound and head home.
Here's Fox. By the way, credit to OH Leuven away at Barcelona, and they're 0-0 after 10 minutes.
That's not bad at all.
They just have a point for that alone.
Yeah, that's better than Bayern Munich. Bayern Munich lasted 4.
Yeah, Barcelona had a shot on target yet either.
What's the possession?
87%.
Oh my days. No, so they're not going the ball, but you don't need the ball in football to draw.
Very true. Here is Vigors.it. Balasaga, Stanway, Tanikawa, and they're under all sorts of pressure here. Bayern Mead now into the penalty area. Ford lays it for Russo, who can't quite get there, and that was overplayed a bit by Arsenal. I think Mead probably has to shoot, and I think Ford probably should just shoot.
Yeah, again, messy, really messy from Bayern Munich in their own 18-yard box. Arsenal pounce on it, and as you say, I think that Ford's going to reverse it to Russo. I don't mind that pass, but yeah, Mead initially probably could have cut inside and looked to open up her body and look for that far corner. Big tackle though there to deny Alessia Russo, but Bayern are all at sea when they're trying to play out, and it shows the difference when they don't have Vanessa Gilles, when they don't have Magdalena Eriksson or Erberdorf or someone in there that can hold on to that ball and move it better than they currently are.
Well, a corner now for Arsenal. And it's Katie McCabe over this. Puts it in towards the back post, and that heads through, and that has come off a Bayern player, so it will be another corner, much to the frustration of the Bayern defence, who felt that came off an Arsenal player. Yeah,
thought it may have just ran all the way through, but maybe there was a nick off somebody in there. But again, this is exactly what Arsenal need to do. They've already got the lead, and now they're just keeping this Bayern Munich defence under pressure. But Bayern have got to do better at defending their own penalty area, and defending successive corners is not going to help that. They need to get out. Even if Bayern can get 5-10 yards further up the pitch than they currently are, it's going to help them, have a chance in this game.
Caldente lays it into Ford. Another corner now for Arsenal. And well, I think Arsenal will be more than happy just to see this game out with corners.
Yeah.
But Bayern needs to deal better with these set pieces. And so Mead over this again then, as Arsenal look to continue the pressure on Bayern Munich in towards the front post this time. Comes off Russo, and it is lashed away well by Gilles Gwyn, and out for an Arsenal throw.
Yeah, it does the job from Gwyn. It's a great clearance from her own 6-yard box towards the halfway line.
Ref's doing her laces, so we'll have a stop to the play.
But yeah, Bayern just need to get out. Need to find a way to just relieve a bit of pressure on themselves at the moment.
Well, yeah, because it's all their own doing at the moment. They just keep giving the ball away. I mean, they've had 60% possession so far, but they haven't had a shot. Arsenal with 3 shots already, 2 big chances created. This is the side who've struggled to create opportunities, and Bayern are gifting them to the visitors here. Here's me driving inside, one back by Clara Beale, who tracked the run well. Tanikawa, tidy work, and gets it back to Balenciaga. And now Gross clears out to the left-hand side. Schulhoff gets there, but can't quite keep it on with the flick. And she's feeding on scraps at the moment, and Bayern just, despite having a lot of the ball, can't work out how to get it out of their own third.
Yeah, really difficult. They look to be stuck, and especially when, again, no discredit to Balenciaga or Vogasdottir, they're good centre halves, but it's not like you've got someone like an Eriksson or a Vanessa Gilles who, if need be, could just pick out a 30-yard, crossfield ball to get you out of pressure. Yeah.
Here is Damjanovic driving forwards, has Bjorn to the left-hand side, got to slip it through. Waits way too long, Damjanovic, and a great chance for Bayern goes begging. Tanakawa tries to keep it alive. Now Damjanovic again picks the wrong pass out to Gilia Gwyn. Stanway, now Gwyn. Schuler, who drops in to get involved. But Damjanovic there had a massive opportunity to slot Clara Beale in for Bayern. And you'd have backed her to bury it from that range. But alas. And here come Bayern on the left-hand side. Ket. Can she pick out the delivery? Not a bad ball into the front post, but no runner. And that is a comfortable claim for Van Donselaar.
Yeah, Bayern haven't had much to go off, but Damjanovic managed to pick up on a bit of a loose ball, a bit messy from Arsenal, and had to play it to Bjorn sooner. Had Schuler on her right, Bjorn on her left. Schuler's run was covered, but Bjorn had space to use, and if the ball had been threaded through a bit sooner, before Emily Fox could recover, then maybe Clara Bjorn would have had an opportunity.
Yeah, here are Arsenal on the ball. McCabe. Slots it through the lines. And this one back well by Bayern. Vigersdottir. Now Gross. Sends the ball forwards. Damjanovic tries to get the flick on. Does drop to Clara Buell. And now Mead. And there's a foul there on Buell. Referee gives it the other way though. And an Arsenal advantage. Squeezes the pass forward there. Rousseau into Blackstone. Mead. Lovely roll. Back into Rousseau. Here is Cal. Then tail the edge. You take same. But that a comfortable claim for Gross.
Again, well turned over by Arsenal. Moved it forward well. And Karen Tate does well there, to be fair. I don't mind that. Just gets the shot off. Looks to test Gross. Needed to put it either side of her though. Very central. And straight down the throat of the goalkeeper. She puts that either side to the left or the right. And it's going to force a good save. Or it's going to go in the back of the net. But yeah, very positive start from Arsenal. Bayern Munich still yet to get going. But Arsenal have done well to take advantage of the fact that Bayern are not up to standard yet.
Is that a change coming already for Bayern? Or is that a player that's gone off?
Yes, it's Damjanovic who's gone off for treatment. But then again, if that's happened, why are Bayern Munich rushing to take their goal kick? It's about game management. It's about being smart. And there's... I don't think was she caught a few moments ago? I'm not quite sure.
Yeah, I think she was caught in what looked like a Bayern foul, and the referee gave it as an Arsenal advantage.
Yeah,
so it's just a bit of a mess between two players. But
yeah, Bayern have got to rethink here because they genuinely cannot get out. They get the ball and they can't. They just cannot seem to play it past that first line of Arsenal pressure.
Vigersdottir into Gwyn. Now down the line looking for Damjanovic. Palova. Now Catley. And it's back all the way to Van Donselaar. Knocks out to the left-hand side. Catley. Now Caldente. Lovely movement forward round the corner from Ford. Here's Caldente. Now McCabe tries to switch the play. That's a great pass into Beth Mead. Mead now tries to force the ball forwards. Cat does well just to stand her ground. Mead taking on Cat. Cat knocks out of play. That seems to have come off Beth Mead.
Yeah.
So Bayern thrown on this near side.
I think the Bayern team section is very interesting tonight. I know there's a lot of injuries. There's not much they could have done at the pivot, but yes, Gilles only come back. I think Ericsson for me is an interesting one, and maybe there's more going on there than we know, or there's maybe Bayern Munich fans will understand the situation more. But Ericsson went from playing 90 minutes after 90 minutes, didn't get a single minute against Union at the weekend, and again doesn't start this evening. So it's a bit of an interesting one because I think she's top quality centre half, probably one of the best centre, maybe even the best centre half that Bayern Munich have. So the fact that it's an interesting decision. I think again the harder Schuler debate is probably one that Barkel has got wrong.
There is Clara Buell coming forwards, shifts it inside, chance out for Leah Schuler, and she doesn't quite wrap her foot around that one enough, but that's a much more positive move for Bayern.
Yeah, much better from Bayern Munich, and that would have shut me out immediately. If she found the back of the net there, again, really good from Buell. Really sharp.
Perfect timing if she had scored there.
Really sharp. Fox doesn't know which way she's going to go, cuts it back to Schuler, who again, similar to what I said about Calente's effort a moment ago, catches it nicely, but straight down the middle of the goal. Got to try and get that either side of Van Domstar and either force a good save out of her or level up the game. But better from Bayern. It was more direct. They went direct, and Buell had players backtracking. That's exactly what she does. How good she can be. If you get the ball into Clara Buell and she's running at players and being direct and dangerous, it's going to be a bit of a handful.
I think it's difficult to assess Bayern under Barkele because they've been so dominant in the league this season. But from watching them in the Champions League, they have been remarkably poor. And it's not like they've just beaten the smaller sides in the Frauen Bundesliga. They have faced Wolfsburg, and they looked decent in that game with the 3-1 win.
Even at the start of the season, in one of his very first games in that Super Cup match, yes, they did nearly lose it, but saying that was, I believe it would have been his first competitive game in charge. He did, they did very, very well to come out on top winning that football match. But yeah, it feels like one of those where he might be good enough to maintain the level they're at, but is he good enough to take them to that next level and start challenging on the European stage? It will be interesting to see. Obviously, very early into his reign, and there's time for him to develop and to grow and it to start clicking for Bayern Munich. But yeah, the early
They've also had a remarkably difficult fixture run so far in the Champions League. They've faced Barcelona, Juventus, and Arsenal. They've got PSG next week, who, despite their stature, aren't a particularly great footballing team. Yeah. And the last game week, they've got Atletico and Vålerenga. So it's a really tough run of games. I don't think there's any of those games where you look at it and go, well, that's a game they should be comfortably winning.
Yeah, the PSG game will be an interesting one because for me, they're in exactly the same situation. Domestically, they are incredibly strong. They've won every single game this season, bar the absolute drubbing to Lyon.
Well, but that's the difference, isn't it?
Yeah, true.
They're more in a similar position at PSG and Wolfsburg, I think, for parallels, because they've both got very decent sides, but it's just not clicking at the moment. Difference is Wolfsburg couldn't get it done. Shots now, and Blackstenius hits it against the crossbar. That sort of came from nothing there for Arsenal. Rousseau with a fairly aimless cross, but Blackstenius able to pick up on it. And yeah, it's not bad from Russo, right sort of area. And Blackstenius able to do something with it, striking the crossbar.
Exactly what you get when you have both of them up there. Mead brings the ball out wide. Russo then has that space to run into between Blackstenius and Mead. And Matt is kind of that in-between, manages to link the balls together. And as you say, Blackstenius does well there. Hits the crossbar.
Or playing out again from Bayern. Here's Blackstenius. Now Caldente, you could get a shot away here, and that is pure class from Mariona Caldente. She gets higher up the pitch here and she creates something magical. The ball held up well by Blackstenius. Again, Bayern caught trying to play out from the back. Caldente receives it on the edge of the box, and that is a wonderful finish from Mariona Caldente.
We spoke about individual quality making the difference in the build-up, and again, Bayern Munich problems playing out of the back, but Caldente with a brilliant strike, does so well, picks it up nicely, gets hold of it, and just lashes it past Gross in the Bayern Munich net. But again, Balenciaga here trying to run out of our own pitch, plays an aimless ball straight to Beth Mead, who lays it nicely into Blackstenius, gives it to Karen Taylor, a nice little dummy, sends Tanakawa the wrong way, fires it through the gap. And yeah, Gross, well beaten. But a really good goal from Karen Taylor, doubles Arsenal's lead, and more problems for Bayern Munich again. Because it's not even, the playing out the back is poor, but then the reaction from that to allow Arsenal to just kind of play it through them, and then for Karen Taylor to have that time and space, it's a very difficult one. I think, again, a bit of inexperience there from Tanakawa. She got kind of sent very easily there by Mariona Karen-Tay. But again, she's a young player playing in an unfamiliar role.
Well, it's the combination of factors, isn't it? You've got a Bayern side whose build-up structure is absolutely woeful, and Arsenal who are pressing super aggressively. It's fascinating because that press was to their detriment in the Chelsea game, but in this game against a side who aren't building up with the same quality, but are still trying to play out from the back, it's working wonders. And that's already now probably the 5th time they've turned the ball over high up the pitch. And the pressing is working really well for Arsenal in this game. I wish we could get live PPDA data because they've just been so aggressive at pushing up onto Bayern. I mean, a completely unforced error there from Tanakawa. And that's just, been the story of the evening so far. Bayern trying to build out from the back, but with very little success. Yeah,
and again, it's the players that are struggling at Bayern Munich are as you'd expect. It's Tanakawa I mentioned. Not usually that plays that deep, still very young, and again, this is a big stage in a huge game. I thought Balenciaga has struggled as well on the balls, looks very, very fragile under pressure. If that's someone like a Magdalena Eriksson or Vanessa Gilles who
was... ball in from McCabe. Chance now for Blackstenius. Pokes it wide of the mark. And that really should be 3-0 Arsenal. And this is quickly getting out of hand for Bayern.
Yeah, they've got to be careful. They're all over the place, Bayern Munich. Great ball this from Katie McCabe. Puts it right into the danger area. And Blackstenius makes good contact with it. Probably should do better.
She's got to hit the target in that sort of area. Long ball again. One high by Fox. And now it is Dorman who brings it down. Shifts it back to Balenciaga.
But Bayern Munich have not had a sniff in this game.
They've got their own half. No. It feels like watching the game last night between Lyonnais and Wolfsburg. They just cannot play out.
Yeah.
Schuler knocks onto Dorman. Dorman plays it forwards, looking for Clara Buell. Can't quite pick her out. I think the difference between that and this game is that Wolfsburg just didn't intend to try and build up at all. They just cleared it long and then sat deep, waited for Lyonnais to come onto them, whereas Bayern are trying to take the game to Arsenal and they just can't. There have been glimpses of real quality when they've got the full forwards and their attacking areas have been able to combine. I think Damjanovic and Dorman have both been quite inconsistent in those areas, but they have been quite good when they've ran at Arsenal. But they haven't done that enough, and their build-up play has been so disappointing. Vigos Dotte tries to play the accurate pass, cut out well by Caldente. Now Rousseau does really well to evade a few challenges there, and then that's given it as a free kick, which I think is a little fortunate for Arsenal, because Rousseau wasn't actually caught there.
Yeah, pulled back for the first one. Damjanovic she got nowhere near Rousseau. Yeah, she was near her somewhat, but yeah, just dives in. Yeah, I think that's unlucky. But yeah, it just shows the kind of game this is for Bayern Munich. But as you say, I think that front four has the quality to hurt Arsenal tonight, but they just can't get the ball to them. And again, the back four and the pivot are really, really struggling. And again, it depends. If Caruso should have 45 minutes in her, for me that is a change you absolutely make at half time.
Ball in behind. Clara Buell now trying to take on Fox. And Fox as well, just a stander up. Mead dropping in well. Shifts it to Palova, who's under pressure here. Great win from Ket. Deemed a little too aggressive, though. And Palova does well, just to draw the foul.
Yeah.
I think she's done really well because she wins the ball back clean initially, but Palova just gets her body across really well to draw the foul.
Yeah, Ket doesn't do too much wrong there, but it's just smart from Palova. Knows exactly where she needs to put her body in and how she can win a free kick in that position.
I feel refs are really good at protecting teams from playing out and getting caught in those sorts of positions. I mean, we saw it a lot last night. Whenever Wolfsburg tried to win the ball high at the pitch against Lyonnais, that was always deemed a foul.
Yeah.
On quite a few occasions it wasn't. That one a little unlucky for Ket. This ball in by Blackstenius had gone too early. A theme of Arsenal in recent weeks. Getting caught offside. Here is Balenciaga. Back now to Gross.
Bayern Munich have got to make changes at the break. As I said, I mentioned Caruso there, but I'd be looking at Madeleine Eriksson. I'd be looking at Vanessa Gilles.
Now Tanikawa. I mean, they just need someone to take control of that back line. It's so disorganised. Buell into Damjanovic. Got to shift it. Drives inside. Now Damjanovic. She just takes so long to make a decision. When she does, it's the wrong one.
Yeah.
She had so many things she could have done there. She could have taken a shot. She could have played it through to Buell initially. She could have then crossed it into the penalty area. Instead, she tries to play a horizontal pass to no one. That's cut out very easily. And now Arsenal breaking away. Here's Blackstenius. Takes aim from range. And that also the wrong decision, as that trickles wide of the mark. But decision-making from Damjanovic has been woeful this evening.
Yeah.
Could have slotted Buell through and drawn them level in this game. Decided instead to do nothing with the ball. And then that one there, another example of poor decision-making.
But yeah, it's a key component of these kind of games when you are up against it and you do get very little opportunities to come forwards. When you do get the ball into the final third, you have to get that decision right. You can't afford to panic or to be too slow or to be indecisive. You have to make a decision quickly. You cannot afford to be a bit lazy with it. But Bayern Munich are now in a position where they've got to make sure they're still in this game come half time. They can't concede again. If they can get a goal back, happy days, but they've got to make sure that they do not end up out of this game before we even get to the break.
Yeah, and, Bayern win the ball high at the pitch here. Here is Dorman. Wants to take on Caldente. Gwimp. Knocks it back now into Viggersdottir. Wide into Dorman. Bayern here with players camped high up the pitch. Can they break Arsenal down? Balenciaga. Now Viggersdottir. Dorman. Viggersdottir. Stanway. Viggersdottir again. Tanikawa. Nice touch around the corner into Damjanovic, who's just ran herself into a bit of trouble there, but does keep the ball. Viggersdottir. Now Stanway and Bayern here have gone from being on the edge of the penalty area to almost in their own half. Balenciaga. Tanikawa. I mean, that's almost what they need to do, just to draw out that bit of space in behind the Arsenal backline. Tanikawa. Now Ket. Balenciaga. At some point, they have just got to release one in behind. Ket shifts it back to Balenciaga. Into their own half now, Bayern, as they draw Arsenal out. Tanikawa shifts down the line to Buell. Ket back down the line. And after all of that, the long sequence of possession, they can't quite find the finishing touch or create anything.
And that's the thing. Although it was better on the ball and they did want to keep hold of it for a bit more of a sustained period, they didn't do anything with it.
Caldente does well there. Turns a marker as the aggressive press comes. Here is McCabe wide into Ford, looking to create an opportunity. Now back to Mariona Caldente. And goes all the way back to Catley.
It's exactly why Arsenal signed Mariona Caldente last year. These are the games. This is the stage where she really shines.
It's a shame she has to be so deep, because when we've seen her height the pitch, so when they turn the ball over, she's playing as an attack midfielder, out of possession. But then that's where she shines. She picks up the ball and she scores from the edge of the penalty area. That's where she needs to play for Arsenal. It's absurd that they play her as defensive midfielder. It's such a waste of their most talented footballer.
Exactly.
30 minutes gone, by the way, at the Estadio Johan Cruyff, and still OH Leuven holding FC Barcelona. They have already faced 10 shots with 5 on target. Barcelona have had 81% possession, but Leuven are holding them 4 now.
Fair play. Absolutely fair play. What a tournament it has been for Leuven already. Even if they don't get through from this point in, to draw your first 2 games in the Champions League is an incredible feat. They're still unbeaten.
It's a win in there.
Oh, is it? Oh, yes.
The first game they won last time out.
I forgot that was very late on, wasn't it?
They can't even view their games on FOTMOB because they don't exist as a team.
That's crazy. So it's absolutely crazy. Fair play to them, doing brilliant things. They got into Champions League and they're not just turned up and getting rolled over. They're turned up and they're putting a very good fight on.
Yeah, 2-1 over Twente last week. A Twente side who had a point after Matchweek 1 with their draw to Chelsea, but then lost to OH Leuven. Mead rolls it to McKay. Back now to Beth Mead. Swings it in towards the back post, and it's headed away well by Leah Schuler. And that will be an Arsenal corner.
Yeah, crucial intervention at the back post. But again, it's Bayern Munich. It's so poor. They're all just sat in... No one here gets out to Beth Mead. They took the corner short. McCabe and Mead play 1-2 each other. No one gets out to Mead. They all just stand there and wait for her to put the ball in. And Schuler does well to out-jump Russo at the back post. But my, oh my, again, really poor defending from Bayern Munich. Arsenal have got to take advantage. They've done really well so far. But if Arsenal can get a third goal before half time, that should really kill this game off.
Absolutely. Ball into the penalty area. Now looking to the back post. It's headed away. Kept alive by Ford. Arsenal trying to create something. Poor pass though from Palova. AMJD, welcome to the stream. Who scored the second goal? It was Mariona Galdente. And Darn plays asked, will Russo score? I think she could do with a goal, Alessia Russo. I don't think this has been a lightning start to the season. I think that's why we saw Blackstone given the opportunity, and she has looked better. I don't think Russo's a great fit for the system change they've gone for this season, Arsenal. But yeah, then again, we have seen Blackstone miss big opportunities in this game already. So Arsenal with a bit of a perennial finishing problem. I mean, to be fair, I think their problem's more been around chance creation. That's been all right tonight, but a lot of that has come from Bayern mistakes and Arsenal being really good at capitalising on them. The question now will be, can Arsenal start to become a side who are very good at generating chances of their own?
I think what's in from Bayern Munich tonight has kind of been what we've seen from Arsenal at times this season.
Yeah.
Where they've got on the ball at times, but they haven't done anything with it, and then the other team have got the other end and punished them for it.
I think Arsenal are great in these games, so they don't have all the possession.
Yeah.
But the question will, they're really good at being the side who aren't expected to win. That's why they won the Championship final. Great is sort of an out of possession shaped side, and they were really good. They fought hard in that game, and they pressed Barca really well. Here is Fox coming down the right hand side. I think that's why it makes it difficult to win the league, because you can't really win the league playing defensive football.
Yeah.
Galante tries to slide through the lines there, and it's cut out. Oh, that bounced all the way through, sorry, to Gross. Back onto the stream. Is Olivia Smith playing? And not from the start, no, but she's named amongst substitutes. So we could see her involved at some point this evening, but she doesn't start, no.
I have to say, I really feel for Tanakawa in there, Bayern Munich, because we know how good she can be. She's such a very tidy player, a very talented youngster, but is really struggling tonight in that deeper role.
She clips it in behind, and here is Clara Buell looking to take on Wu Moy. Tries to put it through the legs, and Wu Moy stands her up really well, and now she'll drive the ball forwards for Arsenal. And force back to Fox. I have to say, Wu Moy has probably been Arsenal's best defender so far this evening. I mean, they haven't had loads to deal with. And obviously Fox has scored, but I'd say in terms of the defensive work, I've been really impressed with Wu Moy.
Yeah.
Stood up Buell really well there, and then carried the ball forwards. Catley. Goes back to Mariona Caldente. Moy drills out to the right-hand side. Nice pass into Beth Mead. Mead now trying to make something happen. Nice shift inside. Picks out the run of Palova. Palova not quite secure enough in her control. Ket carries it into midfield. Well, here's Stanway. Back now to Balenciaga. Now Stanway shifts it out to Vigosdottir. And now Tanikawa, who's splitting the centre halves. Balenciaga. Fine, progressing up the field. Tanikawa again. Here's Balenciaga.
I don't know what's going on here again, but Clara Buell is deeper than Ket. That makes no sense to me whatsoever.
Stanway into Buell. Ket, who is inverted into midfield now. Tanikawa. A lot of positional rotations. It just feels like a lot going on at once for Bayern.
Yeah.
It's the kind of thing where once it clicks, this could work and be very difficult to beat.
Yeah.
But the question is going to be, will it click? Ket. Battling away for the ball. Ends up running it out of play herself. Arsenal throw deep in their own corner.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how it all plays out for Bayern Munich. I think that if they wanted to go deep and if they want to do well in the Champions League, I think they've got enough right now to get through the league phase or definitely get into that knockout playoff round. But if they want to go deeper and they want to challenge for it, then they're going to have to recruit in January.
Yeah, I don't think this will be there. Yeah, I don't think they are close enough to a Champions League, especially with it being Barcala's first season. I think what this system will give them is superiority and complete dominance in the Bundesliga. It has so far this season. Chance now from the edge of the box. Ford unable to find the target. Another player could really do with a goal tonight. It's not been Caitlin Ford's season, and unable to find the target with that attempt. But yeah, I think for Bayern, this system will give them that superiority.
Oh, yeah.
And I guess the thought process is they are not in a position this season to win the Champions League.
Yeah.
If they can build up this style and an understanding amongst the players and then recruit going forwards, they've probably got a better chance at building something that is Champions League competing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Here is Mead now on the edge of the box. Chance here for Arsenal. And she's dispossessed too easily by Tanikawa, who's looking for forward options, forced backwards instead.
And that's the thing, I think that, to be fair, as much as I know I did just say they need to, they're going to need to recruit and bring options in January. I think defence midfielder will obviously be one of them. But the problem with that is that they've already got 4 or 5 defence midfielders. So, yeah, obviously it would be a very good short-term fix. But once all the defence midfielders are fit again, you'd have a real problem. And that's the problem. They've got so many really, world-class, top-quality players out. I mean, Herbert's obviously out for the season again now.
Pretty well from Damjanovic down the right side, dragged down there. And that will be surprisingly, not giving us a free kick, will be a goal kick. I'm shocked by that one. So I'm not sure what else Rumoy did there, because she's definitely dragged down Damjanovic.
Yeah, I think did they end up into the penalty area? Yes, they did.
I don't think it's enough in the box.
Damn, I don't like that at all, because initially I thought she'd slid in to try and reach the ball, but she didn't at all. She fell over. That really frustrates me, because she could have still got to the ball, but she tried to win a penalty and ended up just flopping on the floor.
Yeah.
And now Sutton
players inside the penalty area there as the goal kick's taken.
Really? Yeah. It's been a difficult one for Bayern Munich tonight.
Now Van Donselaar out to the left-hand side. And that is poor distribution again from Daphne Van Donselaar. It's been a perennial issue for her throughout this campaign.
Yeah, it's been a very quiet evening for her tonight. Probably the kind of game she needs. But also, if you're as a goalkeeper, you want to have a game that, you don't want to be under pressure all the time, but you'd like to get a couple of saves under your belt and you want a clean sheet where you do have to do something.
Yeah. Tanikawa lifting it over the top to Damjanovic. I mean, that was quite a blatant offside call. So, I mean, any decision where you see a UEFA assistant referee put their flag up before...
that is shocking.
Well, Catley's so smart here. She realises what Damjanovic is trying to do running by, and she just steps up.
But that's a lack of awareness. For anyone who obviously can't see that, Damjanovic was probably 10 yards offside there. I mean,
I think a little less than that, but yeah, I think that's...
it's just a lack of awareness, but also it's just lazy. You're playing in a Champions League match as a forward. Look along that line. Make sure you're holding your run. Be aware of what's going on.
I've not been impressed at all by Damjanovic this evening. I think decision making's been poor,
and I think this can be the problem with the league being such a luxury. Is that I know most of Bayern Munich's problems tonight have been playing out of the back. Obviously they are trying, but when you do steamroll teams every single week,
but that's an element to the same point you're making, is that Bayern usually would play out the back without playing a side who are pressing so aggressively and so effectively.
Yeah, I just think that. Again, I think it definitely. Again, that is really poor from Balenciaga. I don't know what she's trying to do there. Chip it over the press of Blackstenius into Stanway. That's never going to work. And I think sometimes when you do have it too easy in your domestic division, when you turn up and play these top quality sides in the Champions League, sometimes you aren't at the races. I mean, tonight, Bayern Munich, you're playing the reigning European champions, so you've got to play like that. You've got to try and match that level, and they just look miles off it. And Arsenal, are in complete control of this football match.
Caldente, now it's the right hand side. Here's Beth Mead, puts it into the area, and that is a great claim from Gross.
So that was a really nice move from Arsenal. Just need to be a better ball from Mead, but they played that through the line so nicely.
Balenciaga back to Gross. Knocks it forwards. And it falls down to Clara Buell. And here come Bayern Munich. Back to Ket. And courteously knocks it out of play as Fox is down there. But I think that's a little kind from Bayern Munich.
Yeah, it's a nice thing to do, but again, it depends, doesn't it? Sometimes, I mean, technically it's a head injury, so it probably would have been stopped anyway. But it's one of those where if you're 2-0 down in a Champions League game and you are really struggling, do you really kick the ball out when the team have got a player down when you know it isn't a serious injury?
I was also just trying to work out who actually hit her. It wasn't the arm. It looked like she just got sandwiched between the two shoulders.
Yeah, it wasn't Buell. It was whoever the other player was, just brushed her, that just caught with the arm. I think more of a forearm. But yeah, Fox, of course, is fine to continue. Nothing in it. But yeah, that felt a bit...
Saga. Quite kind from Bayern. Fox heads it away. Drops in there for Damjanovic. And now Balenciaga.
That was just a toe pump forward, wasn't it, from Balenciaga, that one there. And again, I mean, unsurprisingly, he didn't pick anyone out.
And that is the half-time whistle. No minutes of additional time in this first 45. And so at the break, it's Bayern Munich 0, Arsenal 2. Mariona Caldente's goal adding to Fox's early header. And that sees Arsenal lead by 2-0 at the break. It's been a first half where Bayern Munich haven't really got going at all. 57% off the ball, of course, but they haven't really been able to play out from the back. And Arsenal have had it all their own way. They've turned the ball over high at the pitch, and they've really hurt Bayern Munich. And at the break, they lead by 2-0.
Yeah, perfect 45 minutes from the reigning European champions. Really commanding performance on their travels against another pot one side. They can have no complaints, but for Bayern Munich, they are miles off it at the moment. Very easily second best, and not the kind of performance that you need when you're playing up against a side of Arsenal's calibre. As I said, they are miles off the standard. They're really struggling to play out. It's just too slow. It's too lazy. Got to work harder for it, but also they've got to... things have got to change tactically for them. They cannot keep trying to play out and losing the ball as often as they are at the moment. It's too easy. The Arsenal press is very good, don't get me wrong, but you should be able to play through it. You're a side like Bayern Munich at the moment. It looks like Arsenal turned up against a pot 3 side. It really does. Not good enough from Bayern Munich at all. And to be honest, they're lucky that they're still in this game, because if Arsenal had taken a couple more of their chances, it could very easily be 3 or 4-0. So the fact that it is only 2-0 and the fact that Bayern Munich still have got a chance to turn this around is probably quite nice to the home side. So they've got to make sure they use that opportunity. They've been handed a bit of a lifeline in that sense, but they've got to use it. Changes have got to be made at half-time. They've got players on the bench who can make the difference, and they've got to be more direct with it. They've got to change something. Again, I understand every manager wants to play their own way, but sometimes that stubbornness has to kind of be dropped, and you have to realise that what you're doing isn't working and that you've got to change something, because at the moment, every time Bayern Munich try and play out, Arsenal are turning the ball over and coming straight back at them.
Yeah, absolutely. Just a quick update on the other game this evening. I actually even couldn't quite hold the deadlock to half-time as Lexi Putellas scores a penalty, of course, on the brink of half-time. But yeah, I think, as you say, there needs to be some pragmatism now from Barkala. I don't think we'll see it, though. To a certain extent, it makes sense. I mean, what is going to change now if they decide to play, a different style of football? Maybe they can rescue a draw from this game. But I think Barkala's more interested in the long-term gain to be able by playing this way. But yeah, it's just not really... It's not really working for Bayern, as you say. They have struggled to build out from the back. I think it's just been too easy for Arsenal to turn the ball over by putting pressure on that pivot. And it's just been, even when Bayern do get forward, so there was a moment where they had the ball They've won the ball back from Arsenal on the edge of their area, and then they try to knock it around and wait for the space. They try to pull Arsenal out to create the space. They just kept getting forced further and further back until they tried to force the ball forwards. It just didn't work out. So, yeah, I mean, huge credit to Arsenal. I think their out-of-possession structure, their out-of-possession shape has been excellent so far this evening. I think their pressing has been really strong. This is exactly what we expected from an Arsenal side. I thought this game would become super transitional, but that hasn't happened because Bayern don't want it to happen. Even there was a moment as well, which I think sums up Bayern's game plan perfectly, where Tanikawa receives the ball from a misplaced pass from Arsenal. There's a load of space to drive into ahead of her, and she starts to drive forwards, and then she turns back and gives it to Balasaga. And it's just that for me perfectly symbolises what Bayern are trying to do, which is they want so much control, but that's at the detriment to them being able to actually get the ball forwards and create opportunities. And I think when you are 2-0 down in a game, why sacrifice the opportunity to get forwards just for a little bit of control? You've lost the control already. Yeah. You're 2 goals down. You've struggled to hold on to the ball. You've struggled to progress the ball, and you keep giving it away in your own third. So I don't understand why, when Arsenal are high and they lose the ball, why Bayern don't use that moment to transition. I understand they want to have possessional dominance, but you've got to use the ball when you've got it in high areas to break away, to create chances, and instead they're just a bit too conservative for me at the moment.
Yes, it's one of those where we said that Bayern Munich have got the front four to really hurt Arsenal this evening, but you don't get they can't do that. You don't get the ball to them, and you're not going to get the ball to them if you play it safe and you try and play all your football in your own penalty area. It's just not going to work like that. If you are going to do that, you've got to move it quicker and got to take a few more risks. I think that Tanakawa has really struggled in that pivot alongside Stanway. As I said, it's not a usual role, and a very young and talented player, but also a very inexperienced player in this kind of game against an opponent of Arsenal's level. For me, I wouldn't take her off. I still think she's a very dangerous player. I'd look at shifting the front four and bringing on Caruso, whether that's if you bring Dorman into the 10 role, you put Tanakawa out on the right hand side and you take Damjanovic off and bring Caruso on. I think that, for me, a little bit of a shuffling of the pack would make a lot more sense. Caruso, yes, she's only back from injury, but she did play 17 minutes against Union, and it was a shoulder injury, so it's not like it's a fitness issue or anything. It is, it'd only be aggravated if she was to land on it or be on the end of a robust challenge, which obviously is risky in a contact sport, but it's not like she's going to do it, pulling, running around or anything. So for me, that's a change I would make. But yeah, it's got to be better from Bayern Munich in the second half, because Arsenal are in complete control at the moment. They've played very well, Arsenal. I think it has to be said, they are doing very well. The press has been brilliant. They're taking advantage of Bayern Munich mistakes, and again, it's those big name players, it's those star-studded, world class quality players that are really running the show, and it's the kind of stage that they shine on. And this has been, out of all their games so far, this has been the closest Arsenal have looked to that kind of reigning European champions level.
Yeah, Shadow says what's really annoying me is when Bayern win the ball back, they just pass it back to the keeper, which allows Arsenal to press them high. Stanway's the only one looking to play the ball forwards. Yeah, I think similar to the point I was making a moment ago, that Bayern just don't want to take the risk of playing forwards. But when you've given away 2 goals, and 2 goals that really shouldn't have been given away, they're both very avoidable in terms of the fact they both stemmed from Bayern trying to play out from the back. And then with both goals, there was more the defenders could have done. You look at the opener for Emily Fox, and Groza's got to claim it and then got to save it, I think. It's not completely out of her reach, but so she should do better for that one. And, I mean, even leading to that goal, I think someone's got to get out to Beth Mead quicker and close that shot down. But, yeah, this is that Damjanovic one again. Got to play that so much sooner. She eventually plays it, and it's way too late. But that is poor from Damjanovic. Got to release that ball sooner. And Clara Buell's in. And I'd back Clara Buell from there to score. And then it's 1-0. It's a completely different game. But decision making in the far third has let Bayern down on the fleeting moments they've been in the final third. But yeah, it's been Arsenal being the better side in the first 45. 13 touches in the opposition box to Bayern's 1.
Wow.
Simply not good enough. But yeah, and there were other chances for Arsenal in that half. Blackstone saw an effort crash against the crossbar. And, I mean, Blackstone has had plenty of opportunities in this first 45. Probably should have scored by now, seeing that Blackstenius, but underperforming somewhat in front of goal. in this game.
Yeah, as you say, probably could have had a couple herself, got in the right positions, but just that finishing touch. She had the one that hit the bar, the one that the ball across the box that she put just past the post. It's not been a bad performance at all. Again, it's the same things we've always said about Sina Blackstenius. The movement's great, the timing's brilliant, and the positioning is perfect. It's just that final finish, that final touch. And if she can get that right tonight, then she probably would have had a couple of herself, and Arsenal would be in an even more commanding position. But yeah, and then again, second goal, again, good from Blackstenius. Great movement, plays the ball into Calente, and Mario Calente does what she does best, moment of magic, and finds a wonder goal to double Arsenal's lead.
But again, it all stems from Balenciaga overplaying, trying to play out from the back. And once you're in that position where you've got two players either side of you, you're not going anywhere, there's no options, punt it out of play. Or punt it up the pitch, even better. Instead, she tries to play a pass where there is no one in that area and gives the ball away blatantly. And that's where Arsenal create their opportunity. But even after that, the response from Bayern was not good enough. Someone's got to get in front of that Calente shot. There was three players in front of her, around her, and no one gets their body in between Calente, between the ball and the goal. And yes, I mean, it's a brilliant finish, but she's given, if you give Calente that sort of time and space on the edge of the box, what do you expect to happen? Brilliant finish from a brilliant player. But yeah, Bayern, I think, have got to be better defensively, giving Arsenal too much respect in that first half. MMP got to the stream, says Bayern playing like they're in the GPFBL. I'm guessing Frauen Bundesliga. Football ain't easy outside of Germany. Well, I think Germany's a super competitive league, but yeah, it is more difficult playing against a side like Arsenal when you try and play out from the back. It hasn't really worked out incredibly well for Bayern, but there's all the same problems against Barcelona, because trying to play out from the back against Barcelona is a stupid idea.
Yeah.
Trying to play possession-based football against Barcelona, unless you are OO Lyonnais, they're probably the only other side I think could match Barcelona in terms of talent, player for player, and especially in terms of coaching talent. So yeah, I think that's probably where they edge it now. I mean, there's a few sides probably could, but yeah, I think in terms of that combination, they're probably the only side that could match Barcelona. And when we saw Bayern play that way against Barca, I think we learned that there is just this overcommitment to one particular style of play.
Yeah.
And a lack of pragmatism for Barca. But yeah, I'm interested to see how Bayern go. Even the Juventus game, to be fair, they weren't particularly decisive. They weren't particularly good at creating opportunities in the final third. Dio just asks, where are you from? We're from England. But yeah, we're from England, enjoying the game this evening. What should Bayern change in the second 45? How do I get back into this?
I think first of all, it's got your personnel. I mentioned a few moments ago bringing on Caruso. I think for me that has to be a change. They've got to make a change in that pivot. Whether that is bringing off Tanakawa, who has struggled, I'm not too sure. I think there's definitely an opportunity to push her further forward and bring someone in that front four off. But for me, Caruso, back for 45 minutes, got to give her that 45 minutes. Again, I think defensively as well, if you can bring on someone like an Eriksen or a Gilles. I know Gilles hasn't played since September, so I'm not expecting her to come on and play 45 minutes. Eriksen, really weird one, was dropped for the Union game, didn't get on the pitch at all in that match, and again dropped tonight. Interesting decision, because I don't think she'd played particularly bad this season, so whether something else is going on there, who knows? But again, I'll be looking to bring her on for Balenciaga or someone like that, just to bring a bit of leadership and to organisation to that back line, which could make a real difference, because they've been all at sea, that back four. There's no organisation there. There's no one commanding that back line. And if you can bring I think if you bring Eriksen and Caruso on, not only do you shore up a lot defensively, but it also, you'll have more options to play out, because I mentioned it during the first half. Madeleine Eriksen is one of those players that, if you are under pressure, can just find that 30-yard crossfield pass to take you, to get you up the pitch. And Caruso, again, we know how good she is, against the press, and very good with her back to her own goal. So I think if you make those two changes, they look a lot more solid. And I think Pernille Harder is another one that we could see happen. Whether we'd see 3 changes all at the break, probably not. But for me, I'd definitely be expecting to see 1 or 2 for Bayern Munich. If they go out there with the same 11, I would be pretty surprised, because it was not good enough. And then I think, taking away from the personnel, the decision-making's got to be a lot better, both in their own third and in the final third. In their own third, they've got to understand when they just need to be direct with it. I know they want to play it out and stuff, but there's got to be a point, like as you mentioned with the second goal, there should have been a point there for Balenciaga where she goes, I'm under too much pressure here, I'm just going to kick it 25 yards up the pitch. And for me, that has got to start the kicking sooner. That decision making has got to be sharper. Realise you're under the cosh and just get the ball out. Whether it goes out of play, whether it goes back, falls back to Steph Catley, doesn't matter. It's out your own penalty area and you've relieved a bit of pressure and got yourselves up the pitch. So I think it's one of those where decision making has got to be better in the second half of Bayern Munich, and they've got to try and get players like Clara Buell involved, because if you can get her the ball in the Arsenal half and get her running in that Arsenal backline, she can cause problems. But she can't do anything if you don't get the ball to her. Yeah. For Arsenal, just keep doing what you're doing. Again, shut down Clara Buell. Don't let her get involved. Don't let Schuler get in behind or get involved either. Don't allow Bayern Munich to play out. Can't really fault Arsenal so far in that first 45 minutes. They played very, very well. And if Bayern Munich don't change anything, then it's probably going to be another very easy half for the Gunners.
Yeah, Shadow says, to be honest, didn't expect this kind of performance from the German teams in the UWSL. Wolfsburg report yesterday also. I mean, yeah, Wolfsburg have been fairly poor throughout this tournament. Yesterday, they went the opposite way to Bayern and they played really defensive and they just never looked like they thought they could even challenge Lyonnais, and that was a really just disappointing performance. They played in match day 2 against Vålerenga and they should have lost that game. It wasn't for a late penalty. They would have drawn it and they just created nothing. They're just so negative. So boring to watch. And the opening game week, I thought they looked good, but I think it helped they played PSG, who just every time they came forward, they give it to Kanjinga and she tried to hit the leather off the ball. Yeah. Just struck it as hard as possible. And it had some wild shots. And yeah, PSG just, it was a battle. It's a game where, because also played against a PSG side who were just so weak, it made them look incredibly good. But yeah, I think Wolfsburg, fortunate to be in the position they were coming into that Lyonnais game, and yeah, now with a little bit of work to do after that match, I think they'll be fine to qualify now because they're already on 6 points and they've still got some comfortable games left to play. But I think they would have wanted to leave a better impression in that game against Lyonnais last night. But yeah, Bayern are very poor in this game. They'll come away from this with just 3 points from the opening 2 game weeks as it stands. PSG next week, they're very hit and miss, but if you get them on a good day, you can easily win that game. But Atleti and Vålerenga in December, they're not given victories for Bayern Munich, so they are in a little bit of a squeaky position. They have played their most difficult on paper games of the top competition, with their 2 pot 1 games out of the way, which is Barcelona and Arsenal. But I think in terms of pot 3 opposition, Vålerenga are the toughest out there by United. Yeah. So. Yeah, I think it's a difficult one for Bayern. I think they'll be fine to qualify, but I think it is going to start to become a little bit tight for them. They are now right on the bubble, and if there is a victory for any of PSG, Benfica or Twente this evening, they will go, or they could go ahead of them. In fact, they will go ahead of them because of goal difference. Bayern with -7.
Wow. Doesn't look to be any changes, by the way, for Bayern Munich. That really surprises me. I know that the big players on the bench are only just coming back from injury, but you'd still think they've got 45 minutes in them.
But this Bayern side just can't play this way against top sides. Saw against Barcelona in Matchweek 1, trying to play out from the back. They got completely undone. We're seeing it here again tonight. Just Arsenal pressed high and they've kept winning the ball back consistently. And we're back underway for the second half. It's Arsenal get us started. They look to build on their 2-goal lead from the first 45. Can they extend their advantage, or could Bayern Munich fight their way back into this game? Well, Arsenal attacking directly from the off every Moy going along. And a game of headers results in an Arsenal possession here. Is Caldente, loses out though. And Arsenal look to counter-press quickly, but Stanway back into Balenciaga, who now is going a little more direct. Plays it in behind Fox, and she does really well there to knock that out of play. But Bayern now gaining a bit of territory.
Exactly what they need to do for the whole of the game. That ball in between Fox and Woo Moy, looking to get Clara Buell in behind. That's the kind of direct ball they've needed to play all game. And it's taken them 45 minutes to do it, but maybe they have shifted a little bit and understand that they may have a bit more fortune this evening if they do start to move this ball a little bit quicker and look to gain more ground through the ball in the air. But we will see. Maybe that was just an early doors punt.
Manchester United team news, by the way. No Fallon Thomas-Joyce in the squad. Sophia Middleton-Patel starts. Ella Toon on the bench as well. So a little bit of team news there ahead of that late kickoff. And I have to say, I'm a little surprised by both of those. Flick on in behind now, and Leah Schuler bearing in on goal for Bayern. Can she come up with a finish? It's a great block from Steph Catley. And there is an offside flag in there as well. But Bayern, they're going more direct now, and they are starting to put pressure on Arsenal's defence.
Yeah, exactly that. That's the threat we expected to see in the opening stages. I mean, Leah Schuler is not offside at all.
Well on.
Played on by 3 players there. But yeah, Catley, a very good recovery run. She wasn't happy that the flag was delayed because she had to make the recovery run, but a great tackle. But yeah, big signs there of what Bayern Munich can do, going a bit more direct, getting that flick on and getting Leah Schuler in behind could potentially bring them a bit more fortune in this second half, but we'll wait and see. But early warning signs that of how Bayern Munich could look to cause a few more problems for Arsenal.
Yeah, Tanikawa. Now Damjanovic. Carrying it forwards, dragged down there by Caitlin Ford. And that'll be a Bayern free kick on the edge of the box.
Better from Damjanovic. Again, direct. We spoke about her being indecisive in that first half, but there she's just got the ball down, got her head down and looked to drive towards goal. And Caitlin Ford on the recovery.
And luckily was fouled before she had to make a decision.
Yeah, that is true. Caitlin Ford helping her out massively there. But Bayern Munich now with a free kick in a promising position. What a reaction though from the home side. Much better. This has been their best 3 minutes of the game.
If they can get an early goal, they're slap back in this game.
Yeah. And that is why football is a funny game, because you can be second best for 45 minutes, but if you turn up for the first 4 of the second half, you could be right back in the football match.
Buell clips it in towards the back post. It's headed away. And then Mead lashes it clear.
Great ball from Clara Buell, that. So good. Weights it perfectly, puts it into the danger zone. But no one manages to make contact with it.
Okay. Sends it forwards. Good thrown into Damjanovic. And again for a Bayern throw on the far side. Schuler back into Buell. Stanway comes in to recover the situation. Here's Stanway now. Switch of the play. Looking for Gelia Gwyn. Gwyn will get there. Knocks to the edge of the box. Damjanovic. Gotta be about a strike. Doesn't connect with that one in the way she would have wanted to. And it bobbles wide.
Really good foot again from Bayern. That directness is a great switch across the field from Georgia. Stanway picks out Gwyn. He does the right thing. Cuts it back. Looking for either Schuler or Damjanovic. It rolled through to Damjanovic, who, just scuffs it wide, gets it horribly wrong. But what a reaction from Bayern Munich. And again, Caroline Tate has been caught on the ball hit.
Dormant. They're starting to work out how to play against Arsenal. It's taken them 45 minutes. But they're going more direct. They're putting that backline under more immediate pressure. And they've stopped being so slow out the back. And that's a great win height the pitch. Buell into Damjanovic. Tries to shift it across. Another poor pass, though, and Palova gets in front of it. Here's Vickers-Dottir. It's not necessarily that it's the wrong decision every time from Damjanovic. It just takes too long for her to make the decision.
Yeah.
So by the time she does so, someone's got back in. Gwyn. Good delivery into the area. Headed on, though, by Ruben Moy. Mead under pressure. Dorman wins it high, and that's deemed too aggressive for Linda Dorman. I don't understand that one. For me, that is slow from Mead. I think Dorman wins the ball.
I'd like to see that one back, but even so, it's the kind of one with VAR in operation tonight. Yeah. You let that run, and then if Bayern Munich score, you blow your whistle and you get the free kick, and then VAR can look at it. By blowing for the free kick immediately, you then just take away any chance of Bayern Munich scoring.
Yeah, for me that is. I
want to see a replay.
That's helped Arsenal out there.
I thought Dorman had got the ball there.
Yeah, that's an absolutely clean tackle.
And Mead hurts herself because Mead ends up kicking Dorman.
Where is Mead going there? And she has been bailed out by the official. Because Bayern should have had a chance in the penalty area. And you'd have backed Leah Schuler to score from there.
Yeah, that one's a let off. A couple of them have been soft, but they've been fine. They have been fouls, But that one there was, yeah,
Pretty typical.
unlucky for Bayern Munich. Very unlucky. For Arsenal, I've just got to be a bit careful here that this game doesn't run away from them. Well, not run away from them, but end up slipping out of their grasp.
Fox into the run-off. Palova tries to put it into the box. I'm back by Balesaga, and there's an offside flag in there anyway on Stina Blackstenius. Arsenal's issues with offside continues. So Bayern now with a free kick. Yeah, it just goes too early there. Great call from the linesman. That's all the way through to Van Domselaar. No, watched a replay and said so. No idea how Bayern end up doing that. It seems to be more deliberate though from Bayern. Let Arsenal have the ball and go and press them.
Yeah.
Which makes sense. I mean, if you've watched Arsenal at all in the last few weeks, the first few weeks of this campaign, you'd see that they're not great building up from the back either.
But Bayern have got to back it up. You've started well. Give it, a few more minutes, and then I'm looking at Penila Harder. Then I'm looking at Caruso. Back up that early second half pressure. Ball
out to the right-hand side. Not really enough on that. We'll drop now for Russo, though, and that is a good save from Gross. But that ball floated in from Russo. Needed to drive more power behind that shot to make it a little more difficult for the keeper. Yeah, again, Russo didn't really catch it cleanly. We would like to get over the ball and drill it towards the goal, but kind of just scuffed it and looped it up off her shin. Needed saving, though, and Gross did well to get there. Yeah, Bayern have got to back that early pressure up. Yeah. Caldente into Ford, who wriggles room for the shot. Takes deflection. That takes the sting out of it. Damjanovic gets back in well there.
Yeah, another one where she's gone down. She's gone in on a big tackle on Catley, gone down. And then, to be honest, among my teammates, I'd have been very frustrated because she then got straight back up again once Arsenal's chance was over, but never going to get the free kick in there.
Ball poked through well. Now Caldente. Back to Mead. Here's Blackstenius. Caldente. Switch the play now, looking for McCabe. Here is Ford. Wants to come inside, gives it to McCabe on the overlap. Good hold up. And that's out for an Arsenal throw. Catley. Now Caldente. Exchanges with Catley. Now looks to the forward pass. Ford knocks it back. Great win from Damjanovic, but it's going to drop for Palova, and no one for Bayern could react. They're also going to get stuck in the turf. Strike from Russo from range. Save well, drops for Mead, and that need to be a better pass across. And Bayern seem to be slipping once again.
Yeah, not a bad interception from Damjanovic. She didn't fall right. Palova picks out Russo, who caught that effort much better and forced a very good save out of Gross. But Arsenal back in control now, back on the ball.
Well, it feels like now it's becoming what we expected this game to be from the start. A little bit more end-to-end, chances at both ends, a bit more transitional. Here is Caldente. McCabe. Ball runs through, looking for Mead. Wants to take on Ket. Now Palova on the edge, can open up and strike it, but just lifting, getting too much lift on that, and it's over the bar.
And this is why I said Bayern Munich need to react after that early pressure, get some changes on, get play, make a difference. And they are going to react. We are going to see Penila Harder introduced in this game, and that is going to see the end of Damjanovic's evening. That's the change we expected to see. Harder into the 10. Going to try and work up there with Schuler if they can get the ball, go direct into Penila Harder. She can either hold it up or flick it onto Schuler. Could definitely make the difference. But that's a positive change for Bayern Munich. They've got to use that now.
And Barcelona have extended their advantage 2-0 now. And to go with the penalty, it's an own goal from OH Leuven. So Barcelona with 25 shots, 10 on target. And yet their goals have come from a penalty and an own goal. OH Leuven, the master of their own downfall there.
I say I'm losing. I'd be that frustrate me more than if I was 4-0 down and had conceded 4 really good goals to a side like Barcelona.
Defensively, they seem to have done, or in fact, they've played all right. In fact, they're only 2-0 down. Both goals have come from their own doing. But yeah. Ball played through the lines, cut out well by Ruben. One back well by Palova. Tries to play the ball forwards. Caldente now into Russo. Ruben switch of the play into McCabe. It goes all the way back to Van Domselaar. Now Palova. Knocks it back to Van Domselaar. And build up down the left-hand side. Here's Steph Catley. Catley back now to Palova. To Caldente, sorry. Who bursts through the lines into Ford. Ford to Blackstenius. Round the corner nicely into McCabe. Got to go in the box. Need to go in the box, but she couldn't quite keep it under her control. McCabe now Ford. Caldente. Here's McCabe. Looking to deliver it. Thinks better of it. Now Caldente. Ford. Caldente. Ford again. Plays it inside to Russo on the edge. Fox. It's a little behind her. Mead. Fox. Looks to come inside. Back now to Ruben. Ball into the area. Balenciaga gets it clear. Classic overplaying there from Arsenal. They had chances to get that into the box. And not just aimless crosses, but they had chances to actually pick players out in the area. And they decided not to do it. Double change now coming for Arsenal. It's Frida Marnham for Stina Blackstenius. Makes sense for Arsenal given the fact that now they've only got 2 strikers in their squad and they're both playing every game now. They do need to get their rest in. So Marnham on to play attack midfield. Russo will go up front. And Caitlin Ford makes way. Another difficult game for Ford. Hasn't really been able to get involved in the attacking area. And it's Chloe Kelly on.
Arsenal then responding to the Bayern Munich change, responding to what has been a faster start to the second 45 for Bayern. Yeah, next goal is absolutely massive. If Arsenal go 3-0 up, that's probably game over. If Bayern can get one
through the lines into Fox on the overlap, cut out well by Balenciaga.
But if Bayern can get one back soon, then it's absolutely game on.
Free kick now for Arsenal. Rushed into that play continue and then pulled it back.
Yes, Mead again. Feels like it's the 3rd or 4th time she's been down this game. Yeah, didn't seem to be too much in it. Just another messy one.
Hopefully we'll see a replay. It's about Saga. Carries up the line.
Oh, she has, yeah, she's followed through there. She's unlucky.
I was going to say, I think she wins the ball, isn't she?
Yeah, she's followed through onto the ankle.
Change coming for Bayern.
Their change, so I saw Caruso in there, definitely.
Yeah.
I'm not sure who was behind her. But they're the kind of changes we expect to see from Bayern Munich. 30 minutes to play, they need 2 goals in this game.
Free kick now, laid short for Arsenal. Kelly with the ball into the box. Not a great delivery, man. Just get a header on it too, but nothing that could trouble Gross. And Bayern will slow it down again. Shan says, Gilly, Gwynn's positioning has really bothered me. I think she's pushed too high up. No option for a switch when Bayern are under pressure on the left. That's a problem on both sides. Both of their fullbacks are pushing up every time, and they seem to be. It's like they're building. Their build-up structure is their rest defence, where they've got like 2 centre backs and the pivot. The pivot, one in front of the other, and then the 2 centre backs, and they form almost a diamond.
It's like watching Brian Sorensen's Everton.
Yeah,
where both fullbacks just run off into the wind.
That is Ariana Caruso and Alara Sehitler. The double change for Bayern, and that will be the end of Lea Schuler and Linda Dorman's game.
Yes, that will see Caruso drop into the pivot, and then Tanakawa will go onto the right hand side. You'd think to replace Dorman.
Well, no, I think it'll be Sir Hitler on the right hand side, Panila up front, and then
Oh
it'll
yeah,
be
Tanakawa.
Tanakawa into the 10. You would think, though it seems to be
That's Tanakawa.
Tanakawa up front
That's an interesting decision.
with Harder in the 10. Well, they seem to want to have a 10 who's going to head it on, and then a striker who's going to run in behind.
Yeah.
So it's now Harder up front. So those two will be fairly interchangeable. Gwyn and Hitler swap positions here as Gwyn follows the press out the pitch. Caruso now jostling for possession. McKay flicks it on. Header one and out of play from Vigos-Dottir.
Caruso will be a big boost to have her back. Again, it wasn't a long injury, but it was still a couple weeks without her. And as I said at the start, once Gilles back to full fitness, if Eriksson is allowed to play, again, it'd be interesting to see what's happening there. Whether that is purely just through choice to not start Magdalena Eriksson, we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah. Gwyn, Vigos-Dottir, now Balenciaga, Caruso. Nice turn, knocks out to the right hand side. Here's Gwyn. Tries to play it forwards with Moy, cuts it out. Harder. Now Tanikawa. Well there to evade the pressure. Switch the play now from Caruso, headed out by Fox. Now a drop for Clara Buell, who we've not really seen get on the ball in attacking areas enough this evening. St. Bayern go down the right hand side a lot with Damjanovic and Dorman. It hasn't really worked. I've not seen them get Buell into this game at all, really. Marnham clips it in side. It's cut out well by Vigos-Dottir. Stanway plays out of pressure. Kept. Or Buell, sorry, is dropped into left back. Here is Stanway. Into Ket. Drives the ball forward here Harder. And that is a poor pass across to Clara Buell, who wanted it to feet.
Yeah.
And Harder puts it in front of her.
Just a bit of miscommunication there from the Bayern forwards. It's been a better second half for Bayern so far, but still not threatening at all. Van Domstar has had a very quiet evening.
Fox throws it up the line, headed on by Caldente. Here is Russo, cut out well. And now Vigos-Dottir, Balenciaga. Stanway. Caruso, back now to Balenciaga. Ball played forward, looking for the run of Harder. It's going to bounce through for Van Domselaar.
Yeah, it's a really difficult one to work out because, with 25 minutes to play, Bayern Munich 2 goals, it feels very unlikely that they're going to do that. But if they score in the next couple of minutes...
If they get one before 70, 75, then you'd be looking at 15, 20 minutes where they could do something. Here's McCabe. Now Caldente. Back to Catley.
How Arsenal would love a third goal just to shore this game up, see the kind of almost confirm the 3 points and just put the result beyond doubt. Still got work to do though tonight.
Van Domselaar. Now Catley. Caldente into Catley. Plays it down the line, looking for the run of Marnham in behind. She turns back, looking for support. Now McCabe clips it in towards the penalty area. Here's Mead. That's one back well by Ket. It carries it up the line, but she's taken off the pitch.
Tough evening for Ket out on that left-hand side. Struggled.
Yeah.
In both ends of the pitch. And just been caught out quite often. Which obviously does happen when you side constantly lose the ball and they try and play out.
Tanikawa Plays it in behind. Chance now for Clara Buell. Bayern in a great position. Squares it. Sir Hitler should score. Does score. Tidy breakaway from Bayern. And it's game on at the Allianz. Bayern Munich 1, Arsenal 2. Incisive breakaway. Tanikawa slots it in behind. And Clara Buell with a perfect pass across to Alara Sir Hitler. And Alara tucking it home well. Arsenal caught out defensively. And Van Domselaar left stricken in the one-on-one. And Bayern back in the game.
Exactly what we spoke about with this Bayern Munich side. They've got the players in the final third to really hurt Arsenal. They link up brilliantly here. Pernilla Harder plays it into Tanikawa, who lays it into the path of Buell, who gets the weight of pass beautifully to Alara, and it's a really tidy finish to prod it past Van Domselaar. But every single player in that front four for Bayern Munich involved in that move. And as you say, it is game on here. 25 minutes to go and find an equaliser, and Arsenal, after completely controlling the first 45 minutes, have allowed Bayern Munich to wrangle a bit of control back in the second 45, and now they're going to have to defend this lead for 23 minutes if they want to walk away from this match with 3 points.
And as Bayern get back into this game, there's a goal at the Estadio Johan Cruyff. Unfortunately, it's not OH Leuven getting back into that one. It's Barcelona extending their lead. Barcelona 3, Leuven 0, and Irene Paredes header. Harder. Up across the left-hand side of the pitch. Buell into Harder. Now Balesaga. Into Stanway in a pocket of space. Now Tanikawa clipping it in behind. Clara Buell now on the left-hand side for Bayern. Wants to take on Palova. Puts it in the box. Header now on target, but it's too easy a save. Caruso not able to drive enough behind that, but a nice move from Bayern again. And you just sense that the atmosphere has shifted at the Allianz. There's belief in this Bayern side once again. They're playing with a bit more freedom. Arsenal looking a little more nervous.
Absolutely. Changes have made the difference. You've brought on Caruso, who looks calmer in the pivot and is moving that ball forwards. Harder has come on, and again, he's doing really well to hold that ball up and link the midfield to that attack. And you've got Tanikawa in her position where we know she can shine, and she's dictating it in there. In that 10 role, it is just knocking the ball around so nicely. And again, this is what we said about Bayern Munich, is once everyone's fully fit, once everyone's ready to go and on their day and all linking up together, they look like a really dangerous team.
Ball down the left-hand side now with Ket, who wants to come inside. Gives it to Harder. And now Caruso, who can spread it wide into Gilia Gwyn. Plays it inside to Caruso. Gwyn knocks it back to Vegas Dottir. Caruso holding the width now. Shifts inside to Gwyn, round the corner to Alara, who's gone too early. Calante will come and collect the ball under pressure now from Sir Hitler. And that's out for a Arsenal goal kick.
Calante's done well there, just to hold off the pressure. I'm not sure if Alara was offside there, because the flag, if she was, it should have gone up when she started putting Calante under pressure. So I think she kind of gave up on that one, but probably should have just taken it on and then seen what happens. Yeah, now, suddenly the questions are being asked of Arsenal. And Bayern Munich are pushing for an equaliser.
Drops now in midfield for Stanway. Sir Hitler. Stanway driving through the middle. Too easy again for Bayern. Here's Tanikawa, who can let fly. Van Domselaar spills it out and Fox gets it clear. Bayern couldn't quite react to that one, but it's definitely shifting momentum now with the home side. Tanikawa into Stanway, across towards Harder, trying to get into the penalty area. Fox, though, does enough and hooks it out of play.
Brilliant from Fox. What a difference putting Tanikawa further up the pitch has made. Looks a completely different player. She's absolutely flourishing in that 10 role. And again there, she picks the ball up really nicely. Looks up, has space to drive into, takes the shot on, and forces the save out of Van Domselaar.
Caruso trying to be too direct there, and that goes out of play.
But what a shift from Bayern Munich. Being direct, stepping onto Arsenal. And as I said, the change is making a huge difference. And again, this is the kind of level we expected from Bayern Munich.
Here is Rousseau. Great hold up from Alessio Rousseau. And it drops now for Freedom Arnhem. One back well by Balenciaga. And now all the way back to Gross. Here is Balenciaga. You just get the sense, Bayern believe there's another goal in this game.
And they've got time.
Stanway. Balenciaga now. Options down the left-hand side. Bjorn tries to flick it on. Can't quite make the contact she would have wanted to with it. With Moy. Now to Van Domselaar. With Moy. Van Domselaar. And now Perlova. Catley. Knocks it wide into McCabe. Who's going to send it forwards, headed away well by Viggersdottir. And the live chat seems to be changing their prediction to 2-2, a lot of them. Here is Harder. Clips it into the area, and that's in the hands of Van Domselaar. So if you are watching along, get involved in the live chat. Who do you think is going to win this game? Will Bayern get it back? Will Arsenal see it out? Let us know. Ray Aviation watching the stream saying 3-2 Arsenal. This will end.
If that happens, we're in for one heck of an ending.
Very, very much so. Arsenal making a change to the pivot. And a rare Kyra Cooney cross has been spotted. Fox coming down the right-hand side now for Arsenal. Can she get the ball into the box? Good challenge from Ket. And Fox goes down. That's out for a goal kick.
Yeah, well played by both players in that instance. Fox as well to keep battling away and get the ball up, but Ket having the last laugh and seeing the ball out for a goal kick.
Indeed. Bayern now building out from the back. Here is Gross. Balenciaga. Into Tanikawa, lovely turn, and Palova drags her back. And that should surely be a yellow card, not been given one though. Palova has had a week of getting away without cards, and that one you felt should have been, and you had quite blatant yellow card. Balenciaga pass inside now for Caruso. To Hitler. Back to Balenciaga. Pernilla Harder. Options down the line. It will be a double change as well for Arsenal with Taylor Hines being the other player to come on. So that will likely be the end of McCabe's game.
That's an interesting change for me. I thought Hines really struggled against Lyon. So to bring him into this kind of game, being ran at by anyone in that front four for Bayern Munich, will be interesting to see how Hines can deal with that challenge.
And so Palova will make way for Cooney Cross, and Katie McCabe leaves the field to be replaced by Taylor Hines.
Yeah, good opportunity for Cooney Cross as well to get a few minutes. Well, yes, more than 15, which is I think one of the longer cameos that she's had this season. But got to come into this game, got to adapt quickly, got to get up to speed and help your team hold on to the 3 points.
Cat. Stanway. Now Balenciaga. Caruso knocks it wide into Clara Buell. Plays it inside. And behind the attack breaking down. Drops now for Chloe Kelly as Arsenal look to break down the left-hand side. Stops in her tracks though. She goes back to Taylor Hines. Here's Tanikawa, brings it under her control. Cooney Cross. Carrying that ball forwards. Gives it to Fox. Drives inside with it, knocks it back to Catley. Heinz. Caldente. Back to Catley. Mariona Caldente. Kelly. All the way back to Catley.
Arsenal doing very well just to hold on to possession and just to try and see this through. Don't let Bayern Munich get on the ball. Don't let them come at you. Just keep recycling possession and keeping a stranglehold on the victory at the moment. Although Kelly dispossessed, Caruso doesn't bring it down though. Bit of a let off in there for Kelly.
Now to the right hand side is Beth Mead. Pass to Martin around the corner looking for Fox. Well held on to by Caruso.
Yeah, I'm trying to think if Bayern have got any rolls of the dice left. I don't think they've got too many options that I'd look on that bench and turn to think they can change this game.
Yeah.
They've kind of made their attacking changes.
Well, literally, they have subbed on all of the available attackers, I think. They got Padilla Bidas.
Yeah,
they
but again, you're not the only player you'd bring off now in that front four would be Clara Bjorn, and you're not going to do that in this kind of situation.
No. Unless you're going to drop Tanikawa deeper, but I wouldn't do that with how well she's looked in that higher role. A big goal, by the way, in Women's League Cup action. Brighton 0, Charlton 1.
Wow.
Big goal for the WSL 2 side.
So still unbeaten this season as well. In the WSL 2. They got smashed by West Ham in the League Cup.
Not a good look.
No.
Rubenmoy, Caldente, back to Lotto Rubenmoy.
This is tense. This is really you can Arsenal, both sides know how important the points could be tonight, and Arsenal will really want to get 3 points on the board. Another 3 points on the board.
It's also interesting because I think a point each hurts both of them. Massively.
Yeah.
But obviously Bayern would rather take a point than 0. Gross. Knocks it towards the right-hand side. Heinz heads it away. Drops for Pernilla Harder, who shifts it inside well. Here's Gwyn, tries to knock it back out wide. Does well to keep fighting away for possession, but it drops now for Alessia Russo, who will look to carry this forward for Arsenal. Not much in the way of support, but she is offering Bayern enough of a challenge by herself. Ball across the box, chance for Arsenal. Brilliant tackle from Balenciaga to prevent Frida Marnham.
Wow, too easy for Russo to get that ball across the box there. Grass has got to do better at commanding a 6-yard box. And Marnham was denied brilliantly.
Tanikawa. Lovely exchange for Bayern down the left-hand side. Here's Clara Buell. Shifts it across to Pernilla Harder on the edge. Takes it! It's in! What a hit from Pernilla Harder! A goal and assist off the bench, and Bayern draw level. Bayern 2, Arsenal 2. Pernilla Harder with a strike of the highest quality. And the player who was a thorn in the side of Arsenal for so long in Chelsea Blue, who scored a hat-trick in their meeting last campaign for Bayern, now finds a goal and assist to put Bayern back in this game against Arsenal again.
What a way to level this match. What a strike from Pernilla Harder again. It's a brilliant move forwards by Bayern Munich. This is superb from Clara Buell, running at Emily Fox, got her backtracking, waits for the runner Harder, who takes a touch, sets it up brilliantly to volley it into the top corner. Van Domselaar left rooted to the spot. What a hit from Harder. Exactly what she does best. The big moments when her side needs her, finds the top corner. And Bayern level spectacularly. They were really poor in the first half, but they have battled back in this game. And now a big 10 minutes coming our way. Both sides level at 2-2, but anything can happen in the final 10.
Well, again, Arsenal don't deal with Clara Buell running at Emily Fox. Incredible drive, to be fair, from Clara Buell. No one cuts the ball across looking for Pernilla Harder, and no one closed down Pernilla Harder. Heinz was there, Rubenmoy was there. Neither of them get forwards quick enough. And Pernilla Harder, given that time and space on the edge of the box, what else was going to be the outcome? And Arsenal, well, they need a game changer. And they've got a very good one because Olivia Smith coming off the bench now to replace Beth Mead.
And again, it'll be another conversation if Arsenal do drop points tonight, is that they should have taken advantage while they're on top. We sat here at half-time and said that they played very well, but they could have been 3 or 4 up at half-time. They didn't take enough of their chance in the first half, and they've now been punished for it in the second half.
Well, they just haven't adjusted at all to Bayern shifting how they're playing.
Yeah.
You know, you think 2-0 up, you know Bayern are going to come out in the second half and try and be a bit more aggressive and get the game back. And instead, they dropped off. And yeah, it's just been so casual from Arsenal. They allowed Bayern back into this game. And now, 8 minutes left. The momentum with Bayern Munich. Can either side clinch a late winner?
Again, we speak about the importance of this match for both sides. Their last chance to beat pot 1 opposition. If they want to get into that top 4, if they want to be in the upper echelons of the table, they need to win games like this. But first, it was the lovely breakaway and touch of class from Alara to get Bayern on the score sheet, and then Pernilla Harder with an absolute beauty of a strike to level the game.
Well, Barkala, a mixture there of joy and relief as Harder fires home a stunner. 7 minutes left, plus additional time in this contest. Bayern free kick now deep in the field. But in the Arsenal half, Caruso. Bayern try and play it forwards. Tanikawa there, brought down. Not given by the referee. Smith now trying to come forward. Strong challenge from Balenciaga. Will drop now for Caldente. Can't keep it under her control though. And now a switch across to Gilia Gwyn, who brings it down well. Shifts it inside into Caruso. And I mean, a lot of the praise will go to Harder for changing this game, but I think an even amount should be given to both Alara Zahitla and Ariana Caruso, but also Tanikawa playing in that higher role. They've become brilliantly, and they've awoken players like Clara Buell and Georgia Stanway. And they now look at a great attacking team. And here is Clara Buell again, ball into the area. Hines heads it away, only as far as Gwyn on the edge of the box though. Tries to create a chance, but doesn't have the space, and Kelly gets it clear.
Yeah, the Caruso change was almost like bringing 2 players on. The way it unlocked Tanakawa by pushing her up from that defensive midfield role into the 10.
It was almost 3 because it made Stanway more comfortable. Yeah. It allowed her to be more of a traditional midfielder. That's a great ball over the top from Gross. Can Buell keep it in? Wow. Jan, that's brilliant from Clara Buell. Bayern now breaking into the penalty area. Players on the edge of the box. Cuts it back for Gwyn. That's a big stop from Van Domselaar. Bayern break away brilliantly. And Gilia Gwyn denied only by a big save from Daphne Van Domselaar, but the pendulum has swung. Bayern are on top.
What a ball from
brilliant.
Such a good ball, and Clara Buell does so well to get there. Fox follows her all the way, but again, Buell got Fox backtracking into her own penalty area, cuts it back to the edge of the area. Gwyn catches it nicely. Big save from Van Domselaar.
Too central, really, from Gilia Gwyn. Got to put it either side there. Daphne Van Domselaar corner in towards the front post. Somewhat disappointing. Not much height on that one. Drops now for Caruso. Knocks it back down the line into Buell, who chests it down brilliantly. Beats Hines into the air. Wigglesdottir is there, and she taps it home. And Bayern, from 2 goals down, now lead in this Champions League tie. Bayern Munich 3, Arsenal 2. What a turnaround. And Bayern, who was so costly in the first half, giving Arsenal opportunities. But it's been such a good turnaround in the second half. The football they played's been much superior. And Arsenal completely undone. Clara Buell not closed down quick enough again by Taylor Hines. A ball into the box for Wigglesdottir. No one reacts. And she tucks it past Van Domselaar, and Arsenal looking around at each other, looking for someone to blame, because it's all fallen apart here at the Allianz.
Yeah, again, the corner not good enough from Buell, but Arsenal don't react. Catley clears it, and the Gunners just do not get out Clara Buell, brilliant ball into the box, into the corridor of uncertainty. Vigersdottir reacts quickest and just pokes it past Van Domselaar. Very tidy finish from the centre half, but stepping up the skipper. And Bayern Munich complete the comeback. Massive credit to Barkala and his side, because they have made the difference. The subs have made the difference. And questions for Slagers and Arsenal, because they were cruising in this game at half time.
Bayern come forwards again. Here is Clara Buell. Harder back towards Buell. She'll do well to beat Fox in the foot race, and Fox does knock it home. And to Van Domselaar, who is safety at this point. But
wow.
Arsenal now trying to bring back some urgency into their attack. Caldente. Here's Taylor Hines. And they go backwards.
Still time for this game to take another twist or a turn.
Cooney Cross. And that's a really poor pass from Kyra Cooney Cross. They're trying to force it forwards, Arsenal. They know they have to be urgent at this stage in the game. But that poor from Cooney Cross.
Just how football can change. Such a funny game.
Non-Pilo, by the way, predicted 3-2 Bayern at the top of the show.
Yes.
I mean, there's also a 4-2 prediction as well, I think, from Ryzen, which isn't a million miles away from coming true. But at the moment, it is Arsenal who are coming forwards. Bayern have gone defensive. Hines plays it forward, cut up well by Gwyn, only as far as Cooney Cross. And the pass, once again, isn't great. Gwyn, though, gives it to Russo. Chance for Arsenal, blocked by Vigersdottir. Drops to Smith, who swings wildly at it. Marnham turns it goalwards. And it's got away by Ket, and there's an offside flag up as well. I believe Freedom Marnham in an offside position.
Yeah, Gwyn almost intercepted the ball right into the path of Russo, who saw her shot blocked, fell to Smith, who just rushed it. Ball falling down to her, tried to volley it home and completely miskicked it. Fell to Marnham, who was in an offside position. But Bayern are taking their time now. Gress is in no rush to kick this ball forwards. 2 minutes to play plus added. Would expect a few minutes at the end of this game, definitely.
Buell harder, back out wide to Tanikawa. Lovely. Again, the way they've used their third man combinations by at the end of this, in this second half, the way they've been able to just draw Arsenal wide and hurt them, especially in that one-on-one. I mean, Emily Fox is a top right back, but Clara Buell, I feel like we so consistently forget just how brilliant she is.
We spoke about the battle at the top of the show. That would be the key battle. And in this second half, Buell was quiet in the first half, and fair play to Fox for doing that. But in this second half, Buell has been all over like a rash.
They've got players around her who make her tick. Rather than Damjanovic, who won't shift the ball, it's Tanikawa, who's always looking to create something. Yeah. Rather than Dorman, who's too slow and lacks precision, it's Alara Sahitler, who's just this hive of creativity. Rather than Schulin wants to break in behind, it's Harder who wants to receive defeat. And that suits Buell much more. And I think this front four is probably Bayern's strongest in terms of complementary profiles. Yeah. Lea Schuler's a fantastic striker, but she doesn't fit how Bayern want to play. Here's Catley. Now Hines. Pass inside to Kelly. Hines. Back now to Palova. And Sahitler does really well there to wriggle out of a tight spot. And now Gross. Alex Welcome says Jack Tanikawa is much better in the second half. Absolutely. I mean, we spoke about that loads throughout this game, but first half really struggled in the pivot. And then they push her forwards into a more natural role, and she's just been brilliant linking up with the other attackers. And there'll be only 3 minutes of additional time in this game. I mean, to be fair, we've had no major injuries, no VAR decisions. It's only been the subs and the goals. And even then, for the first two, Bayern had an urgency to get the ball back to the middle.
That is true. I just find it's very rare in a game of football. We have no additional minutes in the first half. We've only got 3 at the end of the second half. It's 5 goals in this game.
D. Evagura says, what's gone wrong? Arsenal have been crap this season. Yeah, I mean, a few different factors. I think Slagers has definitely tried to shift the style to be more possession dominant away from... Last season, they played a very simple brand of football, but it was very effective, and they were very good at playing against sides who wanted the ball. But coming into this season, it's clear they want to switch to be a very dominant side, very controlling side. I think they wanted to win the league this season, but that hasn't worked. They haven't been able to play that way. And it's come undone. I mean, in this game, they went back to what worked last season, but as soon as Bayern were able to attack well, the Arsenal defence just fell apart. Chance now from range for Bayern, and that's a wild shot, but that's going to kill time.
Yeah, it's one of those where tonight Arsenal should have killed this game off in the first half. They should have walked into half-time 3 or 4 nil up, and that should have been that. But they didn't take their chances. They didn't put it to bed. It feels like we've said this before. You know, it's the reason they drew to Aston Villa. They didn't take their chances. They didn't kill the game off, and they got punished for it. Happened against Villa. It's happened again tonight. Arsenal have got to find a way to kill these kind of matches off. Because all good and well being the better side for 45 minutes, but if you don't put the game to bed, then you always allow the other team to get back into it.
Aga says, I think Bayern can win the Champions League this year. I think if Bayern play like they have in the second half, yes. But they haven't played like that this season. We saw that when they played Barcelona. And they lost, 8-2 in the end? They even scored 2? Yeah, I was going to say. But Smith coming forwards, takes aim. That's a bit of a mess from Gross, but she does keep it under her control just about.
Smith probably has got to look for a teammate there. Does really well to burst past Stanway, burst past Ket, but probably should have looked to find a teammate. Just blast it at goal, and Gross can claim it. Launched long again. Less than a minute to play. And what a win this would be for Bayern Munich.
Yeah, ball not to mind. I think the other thing to know is when you take off Caitlin Ford, yes, you're looking to get more attacking output, but I think Ford's defensive work is so undervalued. When you take off Ford and you take off McCabe and you bring on Kelly and Hines, I mean, what do you expect to happen? But, I mean, yeah, it's been Bayern's joys come down the left side and then switching to the right for the goals. So Hitler's run completely not tracked. And then harder on the edge of the box, wasn't closed down. And that is full-time here at the Allianz Arena. Bayern Munich 3, Arsenal 2. A brilliant comeback from 2 goals down tonight from Bayern Munich. And Arsenal completely undone in this game. We'll be back with more reaction for this match and preview for the next game in about 15 minutes. We'll be live for Manchester United PSG. So the stream will redirect to that one, so you can stay on this one and it will take over to our other streams. So join us there shortly. We'll be off for a quick break and we'll be back. But thank you everyone who's tuned in to this early kickoff. We had over 200 people watching towards the end. Thank you guys so much for the support. That is everything though for now, and we'll see you in a moment.